Good afternoon, everyone. This is our meeting of August 17th, 2021. Roll call, please.
Trustee Yelsey.
Here.
Trustee Barto.
Here.
Trustee Metoyer.
Here.
Trustee Weigand.
Here.
Trustee Anderson. Trustee Crane.
Here.
Trustee Ursulou.
Here.
Dr. Bangser.
Here.
Adoption of the agenda. And before we make a motion, I would like to move item 18A after 14A on the agenda. So we would have a discussion action of that item after a report. So do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Trustee Metoyer, seconded by Trustee Crane. Roll call vote.
Trustee Yelsey.
Yes.
Trustee Barto.
Yes.
Trustee Metoyer.
Yes.
Trustee Weigand.
Yes.
Trustee Anderson. Trustee Crane.
Yes.
Trustee Ursulou.
Yes.
Community input on closed session agenda items. I do not see anyone here for community input, so no need to read. We will now move into closed session. The items are 4A, threat to public services or facilities, 4B, conference with labor negotiator, 4C, public employee discipline, dismissal, release, employment, and 4D, student discipline, one case. We will return at 6 p.m. Thank you.
For the record.
I'm calling the meeting to order at 6 p.m. According to this clock, I've been told we're 2 minutes off, but we're starting here at 6 p.m. Opening ceremonies with a moment of reflection and pledge to the flag, led by Trustee Anderson. Please rise.
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get to the agenda, I have, Before we get to the agenda, I have something I'd like to read. When the Board of Education is in session, all persons present must preserve safety and order. No person shall engage in conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the board meeting. Members of the public should sit in the seats provided unless addressing the board or entering or leaving the boardroom, should not block the aisles with personal belongings, and should mute cell telephones or pagers. Any person who disrupts the meeting shall be called to order by the board president. If such conduct continues, the board president may request the person to leave the boardroom until they can conduct themselves in a non-disruptive manner. Any board member may move to require the board president to enhance the rules, and the affirmative vote of a majority of the board shall require him or her to do so.
Carol's frozen. Rosie, Carol's frozen.
Move adoption of the minutes from 7/13/21 and 8/12/21. Do you have a motion?
I move to adopt the minutes. Second.
Motion made by Trustee Barto, seconded by Trustee Weigand. Roll call vote.
Trustee Yelsey.
Yes.
Trustee Barto.
Yes.
Trustee Metoyer.
Yes.
Trustee Weigand.
Yes.
Trustee Anderson.
Yes.
Trustee Crane. No answer.
Can she do a thumbs up?
Trustee Ursulou.
Yeah. Okay, association presidents, welcome back. We'll first start with Pam Saunders, President CSEA.
Good evening, President Yelsey, Board, Interim Superintendent Doc Hank, Bangser, Cabinet, and guests. Thank you for this opportunity from CSEA. First and foremost, we'd like to welcome back and thank all of our classified employees throughout the district for all their hard work and dedication, especially during this pandemic. At times, prioritizing the district over their families. CSEA has been an integral part in getting us where we are today and must continue to help to lead the way to educational normalcy. We look forward to the positive impact and student growth. Our members have done a great job and have always said yes since the beginning of the pandemic. We are the ones that have always been there to support students and district needs no matter the circumstances. As the district plans to reopen, we will continue to follow the rules as outlined by Newport-Mesa with all agencies taken into account. CSE wants to ensure that classified members' needs and concerns will be addressed, especially with the changes regarding masks, social distancing, and vaccinations as per Newport-Mesa guidelines and following all the rules of all agencies. We are looking forward to ample notification should any guideline changes for classified employee be needed. We appreciate all the time spent with us in negotiations. We look forward to further collaboration with you on 2 MOUs, Summer Assistance Program and MER's Miscellaneous Earning Report. These will help strengthen our employees and will be a huge benefit for all of them. Thank you for listening to the importance of everything we had discussed regarding all of our employees. We would also like to welcome and acknowledge Dr. Hank Bankser, our new interim superintendent. Again, thank you for this opportunity, CSEA Chapter 18. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And President Allwater, and welcome. This is your first meeting with us.
Hello, good evening. I am far less prepared than that. It's been a busy couple days. My name is Sarah Allwater. I'm the president of NMFT. I look forward to working with everyone this year and working on behalf of our wonderful teachers and service providers. I was a teacher at Pomona Elementary for many years and have worked on my executive board and as a site rep and enjoyed this work, and I'm pleased to take this challenge that's before me to work with and on behalf of teachers with you for the betterment of our wonderful district. And this is a very challenging time. I know that, and we all know that. It's not easy. And this last round of negotiations, if that's any indication of the kinds of things we can do together, wonderful. I think we can do more of that. We are cautiously optimistic right now with getting back to school. I encourage all of us to just listen and see how it's going, modify as needed, hopefully gain support of what we need to do from the community and all the stakeholders. We look forward to continuing in being a process of selecting the new superintendent. No offense, Hank, we met the other day. There's just so many things that we can do together, and we look forward to that. And in these next few weeks, we see how it's going. We're all really worried about how it's going to work. And I know firsthand, I know that no one gave us specific exact directions for what we need to do. And sometimes that's the impression, but it isn't. It's not, we don't have the memo of this is exactly how it's going to go. So I'm looking forward to really high levels of communication. I know I'll do that on my part with everyone, and excited about doing this together. And thank you very much for this opportunity to speak to you tonight. Good evening.
Thank you. Item 11, introduction of staff. Mr. Drake.
Yes. Thank you, President Yelsey and Dr. Bankser. It really is a pleasure this evening to be able to introduce to you our kind of new Director of Nutrition Services. And I say kind of new because Todd Hatfield has been in our district for about 20 years. For his tenure here, for the first 10 years, Todd worked in our accounting department as an accounting supervisor. And it was actually in 2013 when Todd transitioned over to Nutrition Services as the coordinator of Nutrition Services. And he's worked in that position since, supervising and managing and supporting all of our sites, our central kitchen, and even our warehouse when it comes to nutrition services. Beyond nutrition services, Todd has been an integral contributor, and I can attest to this in my days in human resources as well. Todd's been on our joint benefits committee for 17 years and really is a historian who brings a lot to that group in relation to support and information. And he's also part of our Emergency Operations Center. And then this past school year, unique in many, many different ways, as we know, Todd served our district and our community as the interim director of nutrition services as the previous director retired towards the end of last year. And it was under his leadership and his team, where he and his team served over 1,400,000 meals to our community and to our kids. Just an incredible job. And he did it all with a smile. He's an extremely effective communicator, highly respected in the district. And from my perspective, he really is the definition of servant leader. He takes every situation and works it through with grace and humility. And we are really lucky to have him as our Director of Nutrition Services. And so I'd like to introduce to you our new Director of Nutrition Services, Todd Hatfield.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Drake. After that introduction, I don't think there's very much to say. So President Yelsey, members of the board, Mr. Bangser, members of cabinet, and guests. Just wanted to say thank you so much. I'm honored for this opportunity. I'm grateful to be serving in the Nutrition Services Department. I'm so grateful to be part of such a wonderful team and work with such a wonderful staff. I'm glad for, I'm grateful for what we were able to accomplish during the pandemic. And I look forward to offering our students even better levels of service and higher quality food as we continue to keep moving forward, returning to normal operations during the upcoming school year. So again, thank you so much, and look forward to continuing our work with you, and thank you so much for your support for Nutrition Services.
And congratulations on the official announcement. We know you've been working hard all this time, and our Nutrition Services does such an amazing job of so many meals every day, day in and day out, summer, throughout the year. And we really appreciate all that you do to support the kids. So thanks.
Thank you so much. And
we're expecting big things because we've seen it happen.
Thank you so much. Appreciate
I
it.
wanted to say especially thank you for pivoting and doing so much during COVID and making sure that every child in the city was able to, and both cities were able to get food. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Trustee Anderson.
Next, we have community input on non-agendized items. Clerk Metoyer.
This is an opportunity for the public to address the board regarding items not on the regular meeting agenda. Comments on non-agenda topics are limited to 3 minutes per comment, up to 20 minutes per topic. A speaker may not relinquish his or her time to another person.
Okay, I'm just getting all of these together. We have different topics, so we can have up to 20 minutes on each topic. Most of these will be easy. We have quite a few comments on mask. I will limit it to 20 minutes, so that's I'm going to take 2 minutes maximum per comment, and we'll get through as many as we can. And I will be calling about 5 names in a row, so you'll know when to come up, one after the other. The first one is Marylynn Gattis.
Good evening, Board of Directors, the new interim superintendent, welcome, and to our 2 board members that are joining us remote. My name is Marylynn Gattis, and I'm current resident of Newport Beach with 3 children who have graduated from Newport Harbor and one that is a senior now. I have 2 areas to comment on. First, as the school year starts, I'd like to find out what follow-up the board and the new superintendent have done since the March board meeting when I addressed the hate crimes towards Asians and Blacks. To date, there hasn't been a stance condemning this in our district. Whether it is the Nazi Red Cup Party, the KKK flyers, what is the district going to do to make a statement and not tolerate these unacceptable behaviors? It is my understanding the whites make up 55%, Hispanic 37%, and the remaining being Asian and Black or other in our district. What is the plan to make a statement and post it at all the schools that hate crimes will not be tolerated? Second, as a mother of children of color, I'd like to show my support of the teaching of critical race theory. Diversity is having a culture that values uniqueness, people of different backgrounds, cultures, genders, and races. A critical piece of this is belonging, and that makes each individual accepted for who they are. I believe the core curriculums that have been developed to open the dialogue are based on historical facts, and students need to be educated on these facts. Having open dialogue and having our educators share with the students a space for a difference in opinion by asking questions, listening with curiosity, empathy, and an open mind will only allow more bridges to be built. Create a way that there is an acknowledgement of feelings of others in yours. As a community and a school district, can we love, not hate? Life is too short to sit with negative energy, anger, and hate. Don't hate or mistreat people just because they have different opinion or their skin color or ethnic background differs from you. Watch out for biases, unconscious racism, prejudice. The Board of Education has a decision to make, and one should be a way of how we can work towards more inclusion and belonging in our country. Thank you.
Thank you. Juana Trejo?
I believe she's outside.
She's out. Trustee Anderson said she believes she's out in the foyer
Or outside.
Okay.
or outside somewhere.
Okay, I'll take another one, and can someone get her to, is she here?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Juana?
Okay.
Maybe you're, yeah.
Javier.
It's Javier.
Buenas tardes.
Good evening.
Mi nombre es Juana Trejo
My name is Juana Trejo,
y hoy día estamos aquí
and we are here tonight
con diferentes padres de familia
with various parents
pidiéndoles que por favor no quiten los buses escolares.
asking that you not take away our bus transportation.
Nuestra gente está muy preocupada
Our community is worried and concerned
por la seguridad de sus hijos para llegar al plantel educativo.
for the safety of our children and for them to arrive at school safely.
No todos los niños tienen la bendición de tener seguridad de ser llevados por sus padres a la escuela.
So not all children have the luxury of having their parents or someone drive them to school.
Les pedimos por favor
So we ask you
que tomen en cuenta
to take into account
a los niños más vulnerables,
those vulnerable children,
porque también forman parte de las escuelas a las cuales ustedes representan.
because they're also part of the schools that you all represent.
Muchísimas gracias y espero que con su corazón aboguen por esta necesidad de los más vulnerables.
So thank you very much. I hope that from the bottom of your heart, you advocate for all of our children.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lucia Maisia?
Probably Mejia.
Pardon?
It's probably Mejia.
Mejia?
Probably is,
Yeah.
Mejia?
GIA.
Mhm.
Here she comes.
Mhm.
Are we doing topics based?
Can't hear you.
Are we doing this by topics?
I think it's by topic.
Or should we have people come and
Mhm.
sit? Isn't the front row reserved for a line of speakers?
Karen, isn't there a bunch of people on a topic, or did they not put a
That's-
topic?
Those were all individuals.
Oh, okay, they didn't put a topic. Yeah, our next line.
Oh, I do have three, no, I have three more with us. Go ahead.
Buenas tardes.
Good evening.
Mi nombre es Lucia Mejia.
My name is Lucia Mejia.
Yo vengo a pedirles que no quiten el bus. Es muy necesario para los niños que viven un poco lejos. Realmente yo no lo necesito, pero hay otras personas que sí lo necesitan. Eso es todo.
So I'm here to ask you that you do not take bus transportation away from our school. It is a necessity for many of our families. I personally don't need the service, but I know many families that do need the service. So that's why I'm here tonight.
Javier,
you.
Javier,
Thank you.
could you speak into the microphone? It's really hard to hear.
Oh, sure.
Oh, for both
Thank
of you?
Yeah.
So I'm here tonight to ask that bus transportation is not removed from the school. Although I don't need the service, there are many families that do need the service, so that's why I was here today. Many of the kids live very far away from the school. ¿Algo más que
No,
quisiera
está
decir?
bien. Y pues hay que apoyar al prójimo, a gente que necesita también,
So we need to support all of those who need the support, the help.
porque unidos hacemos la fuerza.
Because when we are united, that makes us stronger.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I was given 3 more, so they may be outside. I'll call them all at once. Elena Perez, Alicia Esquivel, and then we have Sarah Atwater. So Elena Perez,
Do we want to have people sit in the
Can they
front
sit in
rows
the
reserved
the
for
chairs
public
that-
comment?
President
in
Yelsey.
the back, could you bring the
Let them sit back there.
Alicia Esquivel in and have her sit in the front
There you
row?
go. There you go, Tim.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Elena Perez. Este año va a ser el primer año que mi hija va a venir a Tewinkle Middle School. Ella va a necesitar la transportación del bus. Como yo, hay más padres que necesitan que sus hijos vengan en el bus. Yo estoy aquí para abogar por ellos, para que ustedes tomen en cuenta que hay muchos niños en la comunidad que necesitan transportarse en el bus. Esa es mi petición.
So my name is Elena Perez. This year, my child will be starting at Tewinkle. So we do need the bus transportation. I'm here to advocate for that, and I ask that you advocate for that, for bus transportation. There are many other families within the school that need that transportation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alicia?
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Alicia Esquivel.
Good evening. My name is Alicia Esquivel.
Ajá. Mi petición es que no quiten los bus escolares porque, bueno, yo tengo unas sobrinas que viven en la calle Chalimar y tienen que transportarse a Newport, a la Newport, a la Harbor, sí, la preparatoria. Newport Harbor, perdón, y pues ellas ocupan del bus escolar. Entonces, y así como ellas, conozco más personas en la calle donde yo vivo. También hay 3 paradas de bus que van a la Tewinkle, van a la escuela Wilson y a la escuela Costa Mesa. Entonces, y pues todas las mañanas cuando yo paso a dejar a mi niña, miro allí varios jóvenes. Entonces, creo que es muy necesario, o sea, por lo que yo he visto en mi experiencia. Y
¿Me permite interpretar? So I'm here to petition that bus transportation stays at our school. We need it. I have nieces, for example, that live on Shalimar Drive. They have to go to Newport Harbor, and it's really difficult for them to get there. I know many families that need bus transportation. For example, there are 3 bus stops that go to Tewinkle, Wilson, Costa Mesa. I see that every morning. I see many children walking to school. So that's the reason why I'm here tonight. más que quisiera decir?
Por ejemplo, yo, donde vivo, a mi niña va en la escuela REA y entonces, nosotros caminamos, pero pues no sé si voy a seguir viviendo en ese lugar, me tengo que cambiar, entonces, pues a lo mejor yo también lo pueda ocupar, ¿verdad? Entonces yo les pido que tomen esto en consideración y lo de las demás compañeras que han hablado y pues ojalá y no los quiten. Y gracias.
So I live in by the Ray zone. We walk to school, so we're lucky that we can walk there. But I might be moving to another area where I might need bus transportation. So that's why I ask you all to consider keeping bus transportation for all of our schools. And I agree with everyone who has spoken about bus transportation. So I'd like to thank you.
Thank you. Sarah Amwater.
Good evening again. So I work right across the street from Ray, or worked, and I'm worried about this because I've personally seen, or almost seen, where the ambulance comes, 2 accidents at Pomona and the first street in from Victoria, and it happens in a lot of places because people just aren't looking. And one of the people hit was the crossing guard, and they were both okay, and the other person was hit when, and it was an adult, was hit when the crossing guard was gone that day. It's just like clockwork. And then with more people driving erratically, it seems lately, because of COVID and the reduction in police service. I mean, it's kind of a crazy environment out there on the road. And I hope that somehow we can provide that busing, even though it's going to be an expense, because it is a very dangerous area over there, and I'd be concerned about the stars being aligned and something happening. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next group are regarding masks, so I'm going to call 4 names at a time. And if you could sit in the seats up front just to be ready. We'll start with Henny Abraham, then Chris Jones, then Libby Frolickman, and Lindsey Murad. So Henny, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for allowing us to speak again. This is wonderful. I'm speaking on CDC recommendations, in the mask mandate is one of them. Did you know that for children ages 3 to 5, they recommend activity throughout the day because it is crucial to their growth? I pulled out of the CDC's website, and I'll be sending you a copy of the studies. Children ages 3 to 17, 60 minutes per day of physical activity. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but we only have about 50 minutes twice a week for physical activity for PE right now. Next study is about nutritional recommendations per CDC. Limit sugary drinks. I know water is available to all of our kids, but so is chocolate milk. And it also says that they encourage family to drink lots of water. I have yet to see a water bottle in a lunch bag. Plenty of fruits and vegetables. The little carrots are great, but it is not sufficient for their growth. And also, it says include low-fat or non-fat milk or dairy products, including cheese and yogurt. Did you know whether it's non-fat, low-fat, or whole milk? Every cup of milk has 12 grams of sugar. It's natural sugar, but it's still sugar. So that by itself contradicts their next recommendation of limiting sugary drinks. If we're going to take recommendations from an organization that I personally have worked for as a pharmacy technician, and I followed the recommendation, why are we not implementing everything? Why? Why are we pick and choosing? I know masks are there for a reason, but where is the encouragement of healthy eating for our kids? Where is the encouragement? Where is the policing of, you know what, make sure you're eating healthy? Where is the water drinking? PSAs. Where is it? It hasn't been there. So please, let's teach everything and make sure our kids are healthy, because healthy immune system is crucial right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Chris Jones.
Hello, board members. My name is Chris Jones, and I'm the mother to 4 children, ages 11, 8, 6, and 4. I have the responsibility and privilege to demonstrate to my children that we will not live our life in fear. I am shocked that after 17 months of this pandemic, we are still talking about how to manage this virus. Here's the kicker. The reason we are no further ahead is because we are implementing the wrong mandates over and over again. We are not listening to actual facts and science. We are listening to the CDC, who have contradicted themselves at every turn. What we do know, and many studies and statistics have confirmed, coronavirus, like all viruses, are spread by tiny aerosol particles small enough to pass through masks, including one by the NIH. Please look at the side of the box of your masks. They blatantly state they do not eliminate the risk of contracting any disease or infection. What about the physical and psychological damage we are inflicting on our children? The short and long-term effects of trying to breathe through a spit and sweat-soaked mask. Masks collect and colonize viruses, bacteria, and mold. They decrease oxygen in the blood and elevate carbon dioxide levels, just to name a few. Masking our children is child abuse, plain and simple. Several school districts have already approved mask choice in the state of California, including Alpine, Rockland, Wheatland, and Sutter. We would like to join forces with those school districts. How can we, in good conscience, tell parents and children that after 2 months of enjoying life and the freedom of mass choice, thriving in summer camps, and playing at the park with friends, it is now time to muzzle our children yet again in a bacterial-soaked rag? I want to thank you today for your time, for hearing our voices, for your support, and for putting mask choice on the agenda for September 14th. Thank you very much.
Libby Solomon.
I want to clearly state that I support the governor's mandate that everyone in school must be wearing a mask. Science has proved.
Please
I didn't
let the
interrupt your
speak.
speaker. Science has proven that masks significantly reduce the spread of COVID, and until our young children can be vaccinated, it is the best protection available. No one should be allowed onto any campus unless they are masked, and no one should be allowed to remain on campus if they remove their mask. Our freedoms end at the tip of someone else's nose. We are not free to risk someone else's life by potentially spreading a disease that can kill or leave a lifetime of consequences. Although I have heard of many cases of children being hospitalized for COVID, I haven't heard of any child hospitalized for not being able to breathe due to a mask. Thank you.
Thank you. Lindsey Murad.
Point of order, please. Can we please read the civility code? This is a public meeting. We are not booing people. That is part of our civility code.
And we will stop, and it will be part of the 20 minutes. So it would be nice if everybody would be respectful of the speaker up at the podium. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Lindsey Murad. I'm speaking to you today as a parent of a 3rd grader and a 1st grader in this district. I'm also a licensed mental health professional. As you know, the last year and a half has resulted in costs beyond measure because of COVID. I've seen the toll it has taken on my own kids, despite my attempts of recovering them. And I've seen the pain in my clients as anxiety, depression, and isolation from COVID restrictions rose and resulted in the busiest season of my career. I'm sure you have stories to tell too, probably including the pressure you feel in these roles and responsibilities as board members. I appreciate you sitting as representatives of the people of this district. At this time, I'm asking you to stand against the CDPH mandates on schools with their COVID restrictions. There is lack of science of our kids needing to wear masks and an abundance of sign saying masks are hurting our children. You probably don't need me to remind you that youth-related suicide behavior rates have increased significantly in the last year. The youth aren't dying from COVID, but we have to face the reality of the damage being done by the ongoing restrictions being placed on them. I know you have limitations because of state mandates pushing down on you. But I know you care about children. You wouldn't be here if you didn't. Despite these limits, you still have things you can do. You can be our voice, a voice of the people who elected you and gather here tonight and want the choice of making decisions for the well-being of our children. Winston Churchill once said, "Fear is a reaction, courage is a decision." I'm asking you to stand in courage and conviction by making resolutions to remove any mandatory requirements for preventative measures such as masks, quarantines, and asymptomatic testing. Be the advocates for parental choice when it comes to masking and vaccinating our own children. Use the Board of Resolution on CDPH guidance from the Let Them Breathe organization as your guide for creating this. You have people who have elected you to push back on the state mandates and tell the state you want the control back for this community. Thank you.
Okay, the next four, Jessica Gibson, Barbie George, Dory Crepton, and Allie Burchett. Jessica?
Hi, my name is Jessica Gibson. I studied emergency medicine, was a paramedic, and have been in the healthcare, biotech, and pharmaceutical industry for almost 20 years. Most importantly, I am a mother of two amazing kids going to kindergarten and first grade. And I'm here today as a tax-paying woman to ask you to provide parents that elected you the choice on the medical decisions that are applied to their children. The application of medical procedures have to have benefits outweighing the risks, and there has never, contrary to what you may have heard, been a case-controlled study evaluating the benefit and effectiveness of masks in the spread of SARS-CoV, especially in children that have less than a 1 in a million chance of contracting and dying of COVID. They have had greater risk of contracting and dying of the seasonal influenza, and this has never been a consideration previously to force masks on our children. Based on the CDC's own evidence evaluating 14 randomized controlled trials for influenza virus in non-healthcare settings, there is, and I quote, "no reduction in viral transmission with the use of face masks." Additionally, under FDA's own emergency use authorization on April 24th, 2020, page 4.4 required that mask products must state or imply that the product is not intended for antimicrobial, antiviral protection or related use or in the use of infection prevention or reduction. The burden of proof is to show the evidence. Additionally, there is significant harm that is occurring to our children, psychologically, emotionally, and even physically. A publication that came out in 2015, a randomized trial, showed that cloth masks actually increase influenza-like symptoms, and because of the moisture and bacterial retention, an increased potential for bacterial pneumonia and other respiratory conditions. If you are operating under the auspices that mandating medical treatment to a low-risk group, i.e. children, is designed to protect a higher-risk adult population, I would like to share a little copy of something I carry in my Big Mom purse, which is the Constitution. The Constitution is law, and it supersedes ever-changing opinions, recommendations, guidelines, or even mandates. Please support our choice.
Thank you. Barbie George. Barbie George.
Good day, my name is Barbie George, and I am the mother of 5 children, 2 that are in the Newport-Mesa School District. I'm here today because, and I didn't want this to be personal, but it's gonna have to be. The children, and I see their faces, they're miserable. And they can't see each other's smiles. They can't communicate with each other. My youngest, she requires speech therapy. And most of the children can't even understand what she says because they usually lip read and she lip reads. And it's such a anxious situation to fidget and fuss with the mask. Now, my daughter is multiracial, and she has very big wiry hair, and it would get in the way of the mask, and she would touch and pull and tug on the mask, and the teacher would reprimand her about touching the mask. So my middle child came with a handful of hair, and she said, "Hannah cut her hair because she doesn't want the teacher to tell her to don't fidget with it because of the mask." This is Hannah, and she's wearing a headband because the crown of her head, she decided to not be ostracized. to not be ostracized. And I do not see anything on any box, any CDC, any government that says that the mask is 100% effective. And unless you can give me that guarantee, I don't think it's necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Joy Crepton.
Good evening. My name is Dory Crepton. I'm a retired teacher. I taught in the public schools for 40 years, grades 6 through university level. I'm a resident of the county, and I have a daughter who is now attending San Francisco State University. I'm here to speak of the value and the importance of your child wearing a mask. Today we know that over 500 children have died of COVID-19. And its variant, the Delta, is spreading faster among the young population than any other population in this country. It also carries lasting effects and impairments to the heart, to the lungs, and to the brain. Hundreds of studies have proven unequivocally that there are no negative health effects on children wearing a mask. I know that every parent in this room cares about the health and safety of their children. You want to protect your child. You've done that all of your lives. You taught them how to ride a bicycle safely. You taught them how to cross the street and to look out for oncoming traffic. So why would you now exaggerate the wearing of a mask to be more than what it is, which is to protect the health and well-being of your child, the children in the classroom, and the teacher? We need to keep our children and their teachers safe. A masked kid is a safe kid. Don't abandon your responsibility to protect and risk putting them in an uncompromising position that affects their life in years to come. The research and all the studies indicate that in this time of their greatest need,
Please sum it up. Thank you.
That's it.
A masked kid is a safe kid.
Thank you. 5 minutes. Allie Burchett. Allie Burchett. And then Lindy Kennedy. We're only going to have time for a few more. Lindy Kennedy and Karen Bates after that.
I just want to recognize the lobby full of parents as well here. Good evening. I'm a resident and parent in Newport-Mesa Unified School District. I'm here to make comment on the mask guidance. CDPH has given guidance, but you have the power to enforce it. We have precedent. Ramona County and Alpine County and San Diego have opted for mask choice. We have a way to make everybody in this room happy. It's called choice. By giving the choice to the parents, it's a win-win. Make no mistake, you have the ability to do this. An alarming study has just been published by Brown University, funded by the NIH, stating babies born in the pandemic have 21% lower IQs. Quote, "It is not subtle by any stretch. You don't typically see things like that outside of major cognitive disorders." Dr. Martin Kulldorff from Harvard, kids are not at serious risk from COVID, but they are at serious risk of cognitive deficits from being masked. Medical side effects include increase in viral load, increased carbon dioxide levels, decrease in oxygen levels, and toxic chemicals. The data against long-term mask wearing is large, while the data to support it is admittedly very limited. Why is it I can take my kids to a dinner table and take off our masks safely, and yet they can't go sit at their desks and remove them safely as well? Those who want to be vaccinated have. Those who want to wear a mask can. Experts agree COVID is likely to be with us for the foreseeable future. It is not something temporary we can just mask up and get through. It has been almost 2 years. It's time to remove the burden that we've so irresponsibly placed on our youth. You are our elected representatives, which means we need you to represent us here in the room and in the lobby. We did not elect you to do the easy thing. We elected you to do the right thing. It's time to step up, be brave, be creative, do everything in your power to fight to give us the choice. Thank you.
Thank you. We have time for two more, Lindy Kennedy and Karen Bates.
Hi. My name is Lindy Kennedy, and I am the mother of 3 strong, healthy, beautiful boys. My youngest goes to Lincoln Elementary, of which he's 100 times more likely to die in a car accident on the way to school than he is from COVID. He's also more likely to die in the swimming pool that he was in today than COVID. He's also more likely to die from lightning twice than dying of COVID. When I was a young mother, I took my first son to the pediatrician every time he had a runny nose and cough. And that sweet pediatrician sat me down kindly and said, "I know, Mom, you're new at this. Let me tell you something about a virus. They're around. They always will be. And guess what? Your little boy's immune system is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's working. You don't need to come here. I don't need to give you anything. You need to give him rest, fluids, vitamins, and extra love." So after that, my brain went back to Biology 101, which we seem to have forgotten. A virus loves a host, an unhealthy host. It wants to jump around. It actually does not want to kill its host. It wants to keep going. So what do? You get healthy, so you're not a viable host. My kids and I, we eat lots of fruits and vegetables full of vitamin C, B's, zincs, folates. We go outside and get oxygen and sunshine. I keep zinc around so we can zinc blast when we start feeling a little under the weather. My mom was a school teacher for 20 years. Her friend was the one that developed Airborne. She knew that around all those 32 kids every day, she needed to get zinc and vitamin C in them to help them from getting sick. My time is running out. Oxygen is the #1 form of nutrition for these children. They shouldn't be in face masks all day. I'm going to skip to the end. There's enough plastics and masks and all the things that these kids are putting in their bodies to make a debit card in a week these days. I prayed to God that he would tell me what to close with, and he asked me to just bring you to him. He wants your hearts. In Mark chapter 9, verse 42, it says, "Whoever shall offend these little ones, it's better for him to have a millstone hang from his neck than were cast into the sea." I will be looking at my Creator one day and know that I did what I could to stand up for the voiceless and help the helpless.
Thank you.
Will you? Thank you.
Karen Bates.
Hi, my name is Karen Bates. I have a daughter at CDM. She is a sophomore, and my son is a recent graduate at CDM. I have a master's degree in school counseling, and I will tell you that masks are psychologically damaging our children. There are no scientific facts that say that masks work. Here are the scientific facts. COVID poses almost no risk to our kids. 4.2 million children have tested positive for COVID. A total of 0.008% of them have died. The CDC estimates that 480 kids died from the flu in the 2019 season. That is more than died from COVID in a full year and a half. Did any of you recommend the kids wear masks for the flu before this? Because the flu is more dangerous to our kids than COVID, and that is a fact. Forcing kids to wear masks for a disease that poses almost no threat to them is child abuse, and it's Munchausen by proxy. It is delusional, psychotic, and hypochondria. Wearing a dirty, bacteria-filled and fungus-filled mask every day is far more dangerous than COVID, and what do you think that does to a child's developing immune system? Remember a year ago when tons of us were saying that face covering mandates would quickly escalate into shot mandates? And all of you were saying that we were ridiculous conspiracy theorists? Yeah, I remember that too. Here is a quote from a Hungarian Jew from the documentary, The Last Days. "People wonder, how is it that we didn't do something? We didn't run away, we didn't hide. Well, things didn't happen all at once. Things happened slowly. So each time a new law or restriction came out, we would say, well, just another thing, it will blow over. When we had to wear the yellow star to be outside, we started to worry. This is a slippery slope. This is un-American. We are losing our rights and our freedoms. It is time to stand up for our rights. Say no to mask mandates. My daughter will not be wearing a mask in the classroom, and I will back her on that. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all we have time for. I will tell the people who didn't get to speak, if you email us your comments, we read every comment we get, every email. So you can email to the Board of Education, we will get it. I want people to also know there are many people tonight who have contacted us with emails giving their point of view and did not want to be in a room with a crowded room in this situation with many people who are a mess. So I think, you know, there's always two sides to every issue. We listen to everybody, but please email your comments to us and we will review them all. And thank you for speaking. Superintendent comments. Dr. Bangser.
Well, it's my pleasure to, first of all, thank everybody who's welcomed me both tonight and before tonight. I go by the motto that I like to say the same thing to each constituency, so I don't have to figure out what I said to one or two, but not three. And so what I'm going to do tonight is start out by saying something for which I received a standing ovation, although people actually were sitting, when I addressed the staff at the first couple of days, and that is, in all my 31 years as a superintendent, nobody ever chastised me, nobody ever criticized me for making a speech that was too short. And I promise tonight I'm going to follow that motto. You know, I have come to understand in Illinois, New York, and now California that the one thing characterizes parents across the country in all different kinds of districts for which I've served as a superintendent and done some consulting, and that is parents care deeply about their children and can differ greatly about how they view how education can best be delivered. And what I'm going to say tonight to you, whether you spoke on bus transportation or on the mask issue, is that I was very impressed with the quality of your thought, the quality of your presentation. In general, I think you were respectful. A couple of times we lapsed a bit, but it was quick. And I will tell you that what I saw tonight is very consistent with what I've seen in my 2.5 weeks here in terms of the quality of people with whom I've met. This is a first-rate school district. And I've had the opportunity to be in others. And so I think I know from which I speak. What I'm not going to comment on tonight is the way in which we should address either of the two issues that were non-agendized. I'm positive that what Karen said is absolutely true, and that is the board reads every email because I receive comments from them occasionally about how they feel about the emails. And I can also tell you that the key administrative staff with whom I work take very seriously the kinds of questions that come through me to the board. So I would just say to you tonight that I am proud to be here. I'm proud of the way in which you constructed your comments, and I hope you'll be proud of how we unfold the first few days of school. I know there'll be some disagreements about how we have implemented the CDPH guidelines. I understand that, but we're going to do our best to be respectful and responsive to whatever it is you place before us in terms of issues that have to be resolved. Bus transportation and the whole implementation of the mask policy, which does in fact, as you know, in California, come from the state. And I hear you about some districts in the state who have passed a resolution to undo that. I hear you. That's simply not what we're talking about tonight, nor will I. But I thank you very much for your welcome, and I will pass it back to President Yelsey.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to reports. 14A, report on Anti-Defamation League Professional Development Partnership with Secondary Schools. And just for those who, all of you, who were not here at the beginning of our meeting before closed session, in the approval of the agenda, we moved our discussion action on this topic, which is 18A, up to right after this. So we will have a report, we will then take the comments on it, and we will have discussion action. Thank you. Dr.
All right,
Torres.
good evening, everyone. I was just waiting for the technology to come online here this evening. I'd like to say good evening to President Yelsey, Board of Education, and our interim superintendent, Hank Bangzer, and the Newport-Mesa community. I'm Carrie Torres. I am our new assistant superintendent of secondary education, and I concur with Hank Bangzer's comments on just the quality of individuals and schools that we have within the district. I'm very thrilled to be here and be part of our community and finishing up my very first month with the team. So it brings me great pleasure tonight to share with you some information related to human relations. Newport-Mesa has done a wonderful job really focusing on building relationships amongst our community, within our community and amongst our community. So tonight we wanted to highlight and provide to the community more information just on revisiting our human relations campaign and the things that we've done to improve relations in our community. So tonight you will briefly hear the goals and objectives that we have for Newport-Mesa is as it relates to human relations. Just revisit briefly our mission and vision statement, share with the community the timelines and events of the trainings that we've done. We're going to share and hear from our high school principals who've been involved with the program, and we will talk about next steps and hear briefly from the Anti-Defamation League themselves. So that's our presentation this evening. So when we talk about human relations here, one of the wonderful things about Newport-Mesa as we talk through this is we have really worked hard to create a proactive and productive human relations campaign at all levels of the organization. It has been a priority of our school board, our school principals, and our schools to really work on deeply cultivating empathy, compassion, and kindness within our students. And we have tried to take a proactive approach. So instead of being reactive, really trying to create program activities for students and staff so that we can work on this together and be proactive. This has helped us create diverse and inclusive learning environments for our students to learn in, and that has been an absolute priority of our school principals and our staff. In 2019, our school board came together and decided that we were going to have a human relations task force that was really going to be charged with dealing with these particular issues and making recommendations regarding concepts such as diversity and equity and inclusion to further the district's commitment to create these types of environments. So our board invested in the time and the energy of creating this committee that was made up of many different individuals, which we'll speak of later, that really were going to focus this work. And then in alignment with that, we created a mission, an implementation plan based on that mission that really helped guide the work and included action items that were directly related to anti-bias incidents, anti-bias education, and provided great, thoughtful recommendations for staff development, student trainings, and parent involvement and parent education. So this action plan created many opportunities for us to drive forward this type of program to create anti-bias space. So if we could just revisit for a moment, because we experienced a little lapse in our lives, that COVID year that kind of took us out of our time frame here. So I wanted to revisit for the community the timeline. So in 2018-19, in particular, we had an incident that occurred off campus that really generated a lot of attention. It was an anti-Semitic incident with students from our district. Again, happened off campus, but we all know kids are connected and things that happen off campus return to our campuses. And at that point in time, we were responsive. The Newport-Mesa School District responded to the incident, and they, at that point in time, dealt with the incident, but also created this human relations task force that I mentioned. Part of that work was a contract with the Anti-Defamation League that we refer to as ADL. And we contracted with them to provide training to staff and students, in particular regarding that anti-bias lens. In particular, we started off with a focus with Corona Del Mar High School and Newport Harbor originally, but again, you'll hear a little bit later that we've trained other schools as well and other individuals. And then we had student peer leadership kids that were trained, because we all know that in secondary school and in education, students lead a lot of the change on our campus. Our students actually drive that. And so it was very critical that we help identify student leaders at our high schools that were going to go ahead and lead this work. And then those students in turn would train others and eventually create that culture of empathy and kindness that we were looking for. And then we had plans to train other campuses and kind of spread our training out throughout the district. And then COVID hit. So that's why I have the COVID school year, because unfortunately we postponed some of the scheduled trainings that we had. We just could not deliver it in the environment that we were living in during that school year. So now we had the 2021 school year, like we talked about, and we are now rolling into 21-22. And so that begged the question, we're kind of back, right? I want to say back to normal, but we're back to our new normal. We're returning to campus. And so we were going to go ahead and move forward with those trainings that were postponed. And so in the month of July, actually one of my first board meetings here, we had an item that was brought forward to renew our contract with the Anti-Defamation League to go ahead and provide those trainings that had been postponed. However, we went ahead and tabled that temporarily so that our Board of Education could gather more information and learn more about the training. And so that's where we are right now. And so we have a collaborative partnership with ADL, and we went ahead and got together and started to discuss the trainings that were presented. And here we are tonight to suggest an amendment to that contract, and we'll be talking about that in just a moment. So it's been quite a journey. It has been quite a journey and definitely a worthwhile one. But if we could just revisit for just a moment this Human Relations Task Force, this was an important group of individuals that in the beginning when we talked about an incident, we talked about being responsive, and we had to be also reactive at the same time. We had over 100 people who attended the first meeting who came forward and really shared some of the incidents that had occurred on campus, and they really supported the effort of anti-biased work and anti-biased trainings. And throughout the year that the Human Relations Task Force met, we refined that group, and it ended up being a smaller group that was very focused on creating that action implementation plan. That was led by Kirk Baumeister and a few other staff members in partnership with the task force members. And I believe even our trustee, Carol Crane, was part of that group. Our president, Karen Yelsey, was part of that group, as Ashley Anderson. So we had quite a few individuals who were very invested in this conversation. And so what did that lead to? And so that led to the trainings that the Anti-Defamation League, or ADL, were going to provide or have provided. Okay, hold on one second. Zoom is connecting. I don't want to close it. Let me see here. Give it just a moment if you would, please. There we go. Okay. All right. Oh, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Okay, so we had ADL 101, which was the foundational anti-bias training, and this really was just the basics that was delivered to our staff, and that is what was done back in 2018-19. Then we would have had a second level training for anybody who was trained, and that would have been ADL 201, which is advanced anti-bias training. And that item was on our board agenda last month, and that is the item that was tabled for more information. Okay? And what is really important to note here is that after reviewing the contract and after reviewing the content and after meeting with the ADL partnerships and partners that we have, we removed that from tonight's contract. So as you see it this evening, you will not see the 201 training on our agenda item. this evening. It will only be for the 101, and you will also see that it is for the ADL peer leadership training. And that training was strictly, again, for students who are student leaders who volunteer to be a part of this program and help lead this type of work on their campus. But it is really important for us to note that tonight, the contract you will see, trustees, will include the ADL 101 and the ADL peer leadership training in the amount of approximately $28,000-ish. And that's important because it was a little higher last time when we brought it forward in July. Student leadership has been going on over at two of our high schools, specifically with the ADL work, and that is Corona Del Mar High School and Newport Harbor High School, and each group has been about 25 to 30 students. And in addition, Newport Harbor has also done the No Place for Hate with about 50 participants. And again, I will have our principals up here in just a moment sharing with you the highlights of having those programs on their campus and how powerful they've been. And our plans, again, for 21-22, because we've heard a lot of information this evening, but what are our plans? Our plans are to continue to provide all secondary school sites staff that has not yet been trained in 101. We want to give that to our staff. So if we have anybody who had not been trained, a campus, for example, that hadn't been trained, and then any new staff members would be trained as well. And that can include classified too. And then, of course, we would be continuing on with the peer leadership program for select students. Select meaning those who volunteer to be a participant. Okay, so any student who's approached, if they're not interested, they don't have to do it. But we do have students that step forward. They really want to take on this work. And so these are two pictures actually that Sean Bolton had sent me early on, just sharing the images of the students who were actually participating in the program, in the training 2 years ago. Real kids. So at this point in time, I would like to welcome up our 4 high school principals, and they're going to share their thoughts on the program. And I know they're around here somewhere. Yes, so if I could have Josh, Jake, Mike, and Sean come up here, please. Thank you. And they're in no particular order other than alphabetical order. So we're going to go ahead and have Josh Hill start us off. Thank you.
Good evening, Trustee Yelsey, members of the board, Dr. Bangser. I just wanted to share with you a little bit of a perspective related to this training in the context of a school like Corona Del Mar High School. First, we have to be aware that conversations about ethnicity, conversations about race, conversations about all sorts of topics are prevalent in our students' lives. They see a lot of things, and all of those issues come to our school. So the fact that they exist is something that we have to acknowledge, and we have to decide how do we help support our teachers in creating an environment both where students are safe to be able to have those kinds of conversations, but also where they're taught how to have them effectively and safely. As a history teacher, I have to tell you that I took one class in my entire university training that was related to diversity or multicultural education. And as a boy who grew up in Lake Arrowhead, California, very small town, rural community, who went to school at a very conservative university, my experience with diversity was very limited. And so I would imagine that someone like me as a history teacher who's supposed to know how to handle these kinds of conversations in a classroom would be taxed without some sort of formal training. And to be honest, as a principal, I don't want teachers giving kids their own opinions. I think it's very important as an organization that we have a message that is shared out commonly with all of our teachers. Now, that message should be a message that is decided by everybody involved in that conversation. But it shouldn't be something that is different from class to class, teacher to teacher, hoping that somehow in their life experience they picked up the exact terminology, the exact messaging that we want our children to be able to hear in a class. Parents send their kids to be educated in the school district, not for any one specific teacher, but because they believe in the values of the district. So I think it's very important as a district that we have a common message. And I have to offer one more thing too, and it's the reality of this. As a teacher, it's important to be aware of the fact that I, and my experience growing up, does not reflect the experience of the people sitting in the classroom learning from me. The way I learned might be different than the way they need to learn. And so as a teacher, it's important to be aware of that. So I definitely advocate for and appreciate any kind of direct guidance, especially at an organizational level, that can be provided to teachers, because I think it will be of great benefit to them both in knowing how to kind of manage conversations in their classroom, but also how to approach teaching and education in a way that is sensitive to the fact that not every student is like them. And those students need to be recognized for the differences that they have. So thank you very much for considering this, recommendation, and just know that CDM definitely supports it.
So good evening, President Yelsey, Dr. Bangser, members of the board. I'm going to echo everything Josh said, and I will just add on. We've got a great group of colleagues, and I've been fortunate enough at our school to have this training come 3 years ago, and I can't tell you how important it was for our staff to have the dialogue and discussions that were brought forward about implicit bias. And I can say that no training that we've had, and that's our job, is not only to educate our students, but also to educate our staff to make sure that we are listening to others to have the most inclusive and supportive environment that we can have at our school sites. And no training that we've had was better at instituting dialogue amongst our staff that eventually percolated down to the student level. And we're fortunate with Estancia High School to now be a part of a program at University of California, Irvine, and our DIRA program, really celebrating and informing our students, student-led discussions about diversity, inclusion, racial healing that is really starting to now percolate throughout the entire district. So it started kind of at the top with the discussion of our staff, and then it filters down to the students, and now we see student-led organizations. We also are going to be a school that's a no place for hate with ADL. Shannon is very great at getting back with the emails and really hearing that student voice. I know Newport Harbor was successful last year, and so really it's impacting our entire campus. And our WASC report reflects that we are striving to be an inclusive environment. And we have to have discussions. And as Josh said, we need discussions led by professionals. And this training is deeply important to our schools. So thank you.
Good evening, President Yelsey, members of the board. Concur with my peers. As the principal of Estancia, Estancia is the face of Southern California today. We're a minority-majority school, and yet myself and the majority of our staff, the people who hold the levers of power in that building, in this district office, in our board, don't reflect our student body. They reflect the current power structures as they are, and it's important for us to really make sure that we are aware of our own, not just our backgrounds that Josh talked about, but our own implicit biases. The training that has been offered is essential. We've had a lot of staff turnover since the first round. If you think about this training and this sort of journey that we've been on, started over 30 months ago after an incident in the boundaries of our school district. But in the last 19 months, there's been numerous instances across this nation. COVID has helped highlight a lot of the inequities that exist inside our country. They certainly highlighted the challenges that exist for the students and parents at Estancia. We've been able to get a better glimpse and understanding of some of those challenges that our students face because of the increased awareness that we've been through these last months together. But that increased awareness will be lost if it's not coupled with increased understanding and increased training. More so than when this incident first occurred, it is essential that we as a district really take a look at who we are and how we can best serve those who come to our school. And I thank you for your time.
President Yelsey, members of the board, Superintendent Bangser, Executive Cabinet, and distinguished guests, thank you for allowing us to speak about this important topic tonight. I can say unequivocally at Newport Harbor High School, the ADL peer leadership training has made a huge impact on our student body. We've been on the forefront of this since 2015, actually, and the partnerships that we've developed with the ADL and other organizations in the community have given us the lens, the structure, and the format to really move the paradigm forward and educate our students in a way that they understand their own biases. The discussions that Dr. Haley talked about on campus with colleagues have been enriching, And we've really evaluated our curriculum in many different ways to deliver a cutting-edge curriculum that informs, that empowers, and also really educates students at the end of who they are and their place in this world. At the same time, we never shame, we never blame, we never teach differences. And so all the concerns that have been brought forward are very valid, and we've listened to those concerns about the different trainings that have been on campus and the different aspects of what we've tried to do, but they've been absolutely phenomenal. Rabbi Levy, Dr. McGowan have been great to our school, to our community, and I just can't thank you enough for supporting us in this endeavor and moving the paradigm forward. And I'll just leave you with this, that the peer leadership training that we have on our campus is representative of our student body. We have every walk of life that have participated in this peer leadership training over the last 2 years and has benefited our campus because we've learned that we can't do it alone. We have students out in the community, out in the hallways, and in the classrooms that are calling out other students about silly things they do, hurtful things they do, and about the hateful things that come across that seem like a joke, but they're really not. And whether it's anti-Semitism, racism, or hate, it's been called out by our leaders on our campus, and it's been fantastic to have that. And also our staff empowered, and in turn, our school empowered over the last 6 years, really the last 3 years with our ADL partnership. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I knew they could definitely share their sentiments and tell the story much better than I could. And as you know, it's just such a piece to the fabric that we really need to consider this evening. And so our last conversation for the evening is actually from ADL. And so I'm going to welcome up Peter Levy, who is our regional director, and Dr. Shannon McGowan, who's the education director for Orange County, to share a little bit about their thoughts on our partnership here in Newport and how they approach the partnership and how they've made refinements to the things that we've asked for. So, come on up.
Thank you, President Yelsey and Superintendent and the trustees of the board. We are grateful to be here and for our partnership. So as you know, Anti-Defamation League is a 100-year-old anti-hate organization with the mission to stop the defamation of the Jewish people and to secure justice and fair treatment for all. We have long believed that education is the best antidote to hate and bias, which is why for the last 2.5 years we've successfully partnered with the Newport-Mesa Unified School District to create safe and inclusive schools for all students. We know that Newport-Mesa USD works hard to cultivate diverse and inclusive learning environments by teaching empathy, compassion, kindness throughout the schools and the greater community. And as part of Newport-Mesa USD's commitment to provide students with the knowledge, skills, attitudes to achieve career, civic, and personal success, the school district's Board of Education began working with ADL in 2019 to provide foundational anti-bias training for employees and anti-bias peer leadership training for high school students in leadership roles who are interested in participating. We are proud to have offered this foundational anti-bias training to faculty and staff, as well as peer leadership training to student leaders who volunteered for the program with the goal of combating hate and bullying. We truly value and appreciate this partnership with the district and with you, its board members and trustees. And as our students and teachers appreciate the partnership as well. 98% of the students indicated a strong understanding of what it means to be an ally and a willingness to offer support to targets of prejudice. 91% of teachers agreed that the training tackled issues they face, and they reported greater comfort in addressing students' bullying and biased comments and in incorporating anti-bullying and anti-bias themes into the classroom instruction. And whether or not we believe it, hate is an issue deeply affecting our children inside and outside of school. We believe Orange County students deserve an education in how to detect, prevent, respond to hate, bullying, and harassment. And we certainly hope that you do too. We know we're available for any questions you have. I know we worked together to modify the contract, which is satisfactory, which is more than satisfactory, right? It really meets the needs for the district, and our goal is always to be a resource and support to meet whatever your needs are.
Does the board have any questions for us this evening? Trustee Anderson?
I do, thank you. I was wondering how many of our staff went through the 101 training in the first round?
Yes, thank you. So we had in that first round, all of the certificated staff from Corona Del Mar, Costa Mesa High School, and Newport Harbor High School went through that first year. I believe Estancia had their own anti-bias work. So we worked with them as a resource and a support, but they also had anti-bias work done outside of that. And the rest, yes, exactly. So those are the only certificated faculty that have gone through the Anti-Bias 101. And so the plan was to have the rest of the classified staff from those schools, as well as all of the staff and faculty from the other secondary schools go through that same foundational anti-bias training, such that everyone had the same language, had the same knowledge, had the same skills to be able to fight bias and fight hate at that level, at the district level.
Thank you. And then how many elementary certificated went through 101?
So at this time, we have not had any of our elementary schools go through the training. I believe that was part of the multi-year task force plan, was that we were going to implement it again in these stages. And so my understanding was that in the coming years, we would be working with the elementary schools, both with their classified and certificated staff as well.
Okay. And so there's a plan in place for classified of elementary and secondary as well to go through the 101 training?
So we usually train about 30 people per session, and so just mathematically with what we're able to provide, we chunked it up. And originally when this started a few years ago, the priority was the secondary schools. So we started with the high schools, we're moving it to the middle schools, and we did have a plan to onboard our elementary, not all of them at one time, but that we would definitely roll them in. So next year when we come back to you, we would ask for a contract that would include those schools. So we'll continue the process.
Okay, great. And then I just had one more question. I was not in favor of pulling 201 for our staff. I think that it's important for our staff to go through it. I think there was some confusion perhaps about people thinking that it was for students. I am wondering, I had several staff reach out to me and say that they wanted to go through the 201, and I'm wondering, I would like to make a request that we do a survey, maybe for certificated first, if they would like to do the 201 component, because I think that there's still great need and interest for it. So I'm not in favor of us not doing 201 for any of our staff. So that's something that I would like to have considered.
Thank you.
The 201 is not part of this. When we get to the discussion, it's not part of this.
I understand that.
Okay.
Yeah,
So are you looking of talking in future?
Yes, like in October after school has started and we're, the year to do a survey of our staff to even just gauge interest. But I'm of the opinion that I would like to have our staff go through the 201.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Nothing from them?
Thank you for this. Thank you for this thorough update. It filled in the pieces we were missing. Thank you.
And I don't know if you're staying for our when we have discussion action, but if you are, I can make my comments then. Are you?
You're going to stay.
Okay, great.
I let them know you moved the
We are
agenda
moving
item.
it, but I'm finishing the report.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Thank you. If there are no more questions, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all for your time.
Okay, so now we are going to move to 18A, but because that also will involve comments, Trustee Metoyer, can you read community input on agendized items?
I certainly can. This is an opportunity for the public to address the board regarding items on the regular meeting agenda. Comments on agenda items are limited to 3 minutes per comment, up to 20 minutes per topic. A speaker may not relinquish his or her time to another person. Speaker cards for items on the discussion action calendar may be held until that item is considered by the board if the speaker prefers.
Thank you. So we will move to 18A, which is approve agreement with the Anti-Defamation League for professional development for secondary schools. Dr. Torres, would you like to make any other comments?
I don't have anything to add, and I have noted Trustee Anderson's comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Crane had some questions.
Okay. Trustee Crane?
Yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Yes? Oh, great. Okay. First of all, excellent report.
I unmuted her.
Thank you for all of the efforts
Volume. Can't hear. Can you make the volume on your computer way up?
Can you hear me? Hello? It's it's on 100. Can you hear me? Michelle, Trustee Bartle, would you like to read my question that I put in the chat?
Because normally it would have been this particular time. We would do that in summer. Does that make sense? Okay. That's why we had it in the July agenda, because we would have had the student peer leadership training immediately after that July date, and then we would have had the teacher training this week. So I just wanted to outline that.
We're on Plan B.
Plan B, and that's great. That's what we do best.
We are nimble.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other questions or comments? I wanted to make just a comment about this whole issue. First of all, I really appreciate the ADL's collaboration with us on this. And, you know, I personally have to go back to, Rabbi Levy says it was 20 months ago. It seems hard to believe it was 20 months ago. I know it was over 2 years. It was March of 2019. And I remember so clearly the night this happened, the anti-Semitic incident in our community, because it affected us all very deeply, and it affected me personally because I'm Jewish. And so I remember that very clearly. I remember that Sunday morning at 6 a.m. when I started getting texts and emails about everything that's going on. And I talked to our superintendent at the time throughout the day, and I said, we have to do something. So we had, later that day was my first conversation with Rabbi Levy, when he called me and he said, we can help. And we talked about everything that was going on. He was very reassuring. We then had 2 forums, one at Corona Del Mar and one at Newport Harbor, both in the theaters, with standing room only crowds in each of them, because we had so many members of our community who felt so strongly about this having happened in our community. That's when we contracted with ADL the first time to do this training, because we felt we had to do something to show that we are better than this and our kids can learn, and we want to inspire empathy, compassion, and kindness. And that wasn't really reflective of who we are as a district. And I know the schools that were involved very much appreciated this 101 training. The board who was here at the time, we went through it. So we experienced that here in the boardroom with Shannon. And I felt it was really appropriate. What we are recommending is the exact same training we did with new staff that did not get it before. And obviously we have new peer leaders at each of the schools. So it's the same training. Something between 2019 and 2021 has changed just in the rhetoric of what is going on, not only in our community, we all know it's nationally, but we know it's happening. And that is really unfortunate, because we're reading into things that shouldn't be issues or read into. We are doing what we feel is best for kids. And so I personally am really appreciative of this. I know we're going to vote on it, but I'm kind of playing my cards and saying how I'm going to vote. But I do feel very strongly that this is something we need. I'm so pleased that Carrie Torres is here to lead our Human Relations Task Force in the direction we continue to go, because we've done a lot of work in that area. I've been to the high schools. I've seen some of the programs they've done in addition to ADL training with Holocaust survivors and special speakers that have come in, and it's really great for our kids. And one thing, when the principals were doing the comments, which I thought were great because they're the ones who were involved, but Josh Hill, who gave a little bit of his background, how he came from a conservative background and he was probably more isolated and he had, just limited knowledge on this. And I think that's appropriate, because the staff at all our schools, we don't know where they come from in their thinking, but it's good to have a solid uniform framework for every teacher to be able to allow kids to talk within their classrooms. So they know how to react, how to frame an open dialogue. And they don't have to, we don't want them bringing in their personal viewpoints. We want them to be objective and just be a leader in terms of what they're talking about. And I think he had some really good points on that, and I think very appropriate. So if no one has any further comments, do we have a motion to approve this?
Leah, Trustee Ursulou had a comment.
Okay. Bob, we are back with Trustee Ursulou.
Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay, great. I just wanted to thank the ADL for this partnership and for working with us. And I want to echo the sentiments that were raised earlier. As one of the very few elementary parents that was on the Human Relations Task Force for that period of time, I do want to echo what Trustee Anderson was saying, and I do hope that our future years, we do bring this training all the way down to the elementary staff, because, you know, hate doesn't just happen in high school. It's a grown, learned thing, and it's very important that we get everyone on board as to President Yeltsin's comment about the framework, having that common framework extend all the way from elementary all the way through high school. So I'm really excited to see our future years. So thank you.
And we do have comments. We will limit it to 2 minutes because I'd like to get through the 20 minutes of comments. So I will start calling names. Libby Frolickman.
If we have a lot, can they line up like the other ones?
Well, I think it's easy. They're all in the room now. We don't have people outside.
Okay.
Hello. What I wrote is sort of redundant of what President Yelsey said, so I'll try to edit a little bit. But at that incident, what I'm calling the Red Solo Cup incident, the students formed the swastika, made a Heil Hitler salute, and posted it on social media. And we knew we had a problem, and at least some of our students weren't understanding the meaning of their actions, and still more didn't have the skills to say no. Out of sheer coincidence, Anne Frank's half-sister was in town that week and agreed to meet with those students. I believe it was a productive meeting, but the opportunity for small meetings with Holocaust survivors is limited and vanishing quickly. We need a more sustainable solution to fighting hate and bullying. As a result, the Human Relations Task Force was formed, and the contract with the ADL was perfect and satisfied exactly what they were looking for. Those that have participated in the ADL training over the past 2 years have given it overwhelmingly positive reviews, and I'm having a hard time comprehending how the renewal of this contract has become politicized and divisive. Don't we all want our children to learn to stand up to bullies? And don't we all want our children to learn how to recognize bias? Don't we all want our children to be the best they can be? I strongly urge this board to vote yes on item 18A to prevent any delay in implementing the program for this school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Ann Gordonier.
I'm Ann Gordonier, and I've had 2 sons graduate from the district, and I was a PTA president at CDM. And I'm quickly editing in light of President Yelsey's remarks. But as a parent and as someone very involved in the student body, I was shocked at the decision to put off this program at the July meeting. Our high school needs this effort. High school students need this more than ever. This is a valuable voluntary program to develop student leaders, and it's so impressive that the staff will be trained that way too, to speak in a framework of language that's consistent, not opinionated, not biased. And the whole point is to promote kindness, empathy, and anti-bias among our student bodies who come from various backgrounds that need to be respected and honored, nurtured. None of us want to revisit the horror and shame we felt in March 2019 when the Red Cup swastika party became national news and showed the maybe cluelessness but extremely hurtful prejudice and bias among our young people. I've been very concerned about bad remarks being said against the ADL, which is one of the most respected organizations in the world and has been promoting anti-hate educations for over 100 years. I'm concerned about anti-Asian crime rising throughout the county and the nation, and in the last 2 years everywhere. The NMUSD should be joined in pushing back with these alarming realities. The last thing we should do is cut or table the renewal of a program that promotes anti-bias, prejudice, and bullying among our students. As a community member, I'm counting on people being civil. Yes.
Thank you. Barbie George.
Good evening, everyone. Barbara George, and I live in Newport. I have 2 children in the Newport-Mesa School District, and I understand what is implied by this that they're trying to pass this evening. But I have to say, flowery and creative words do not take away from what this truly is. And it's basically critical race theory. And critical race theory states that a person is defined by their color and their race and by nothing else. My husband is African American, and in Newport Beach, the African American population is 0.6, so less than 1%. But we do not feel that we are victims. When you teach children that you need to just focus on their differences and not on who they are, it causes and creates a division. And it does not do well for a child. I do not want my child to feel that she's oppressed and that another child is an oppressor. That's not what we need to be doing. I had brain surgery and I received blood products, and I never asked what race the person was, or races, because it might have been multiple donors. It didn't matter. All that mattered was that it was human and that it was giving me life. So we do not need to divide our children. We need to teach math, English, history, and science. And that's where our funds should go, because they've already missed 1 year of education. So please, I would ask you to consider no. Thank you.
Catherine Hardesty. Catherine, she left? Okay. Andrea Golan.
Good evening. I'm Andrea Golan. We have 4 children who have gone through the Newport-Mesa schools, 3 of which have participated in the anti-bigotry and anti-bullying program created by the ADL. Bullying prevention and anti-bias is not a political program. It's an educational program. It teaches students to be better human beings by empowering them to understand prejudice and bias and to effectively address bias and bullying among their peers. We would be doing our kids and our community a great disservice by halting this program on the basis that it is a divisive, quote, divisive, critical, racist training program, an assertion which is wholly unsupported by the actual facts. Thank you.
Thank you. Scott Ketchum. Is he here? Bill Dunlap. Diane Wells.
Good evening, school board. I'm going to have to put my glasses on. Good evening, everybody. My name is Diane Wells. I'm a little bit intimidated and a little nervous to speak right now. The presentation by the ADL report was overwhelming for me to take in. Tonight, I am urging our school board to not renew the ADL training for our high school students without full transparency of the curriculum and its cost to our students, a cost to our community. My sons attended our neighborhood schools here in Newport Beach. Their school experience was very positive because they were surrounded by a big-hearted and dynamic community. They learned about love and kindness and the golden rule at home. They also learned about friendship and respecting others through their friends, teachers, coaches, and mentors. So it concerns me to hear that our school board and our school district is considering renewing this anti-bias program. This program comes from the Anti-Defamation League, an outside and highly political national organization, which I feel. We do not need to be spending thousands of dollars deploying a national top-down program that the community has not fully seen. Instead, I recommend that we, the district and community, work together to develop our own social and emotional programs about kindness and respect, which empower students toward positive behavior. Our community has a voice, and our voice is our right to vote. We elected you as school board members to represent our students and our families equally in their K-12 education. We entrust you to uphold your oath of office to work for the best interests of all of our students. Tonight, I urge the school board to not renew any agreement for ADL programs without full disclosure of the curriculum and its costs to our community. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Adriana Forche.
Good evening, President Yelsey and members of Newport-Mesa School Board and Interim Superintendent Hank Bangser. Oh, I'll get closer over here. I have rewritten this like 5 times. I really did appreciate the presentation from the high school principals. It was really excellent, and also the discussion. I thought that school board member Carol Crane had some really good questions, and that was where I sort of to change what I was going to say. It appears like we've lost the time frame to be able to implement this because it was supposed to happen in July. And technically, I don't think that's appropriate to either take kids out of the classroom to do some sort of teen leadership program, or to divert more money towards taking teachers, either if you have to pay them extra to spend extra time on this. And the reason why is because these kids, let's look at intention versus results. These kids really have lost a year of school, and that's what you've heard from many of these parents that are just so upset. They've lost a year of school. They didn't get full-time in-class learning. They're way behind the ball. We need to focus on teaching kids the main parts of school. And also with the ADL, I'm not convinced that they're not a political organization. When I looked at their website, I saw things that made me question that. Maybe historically they had really been strong on the anti-Semitic issues, and that is fine, but I think that they're diverted, and in some of the things that they were saying, I actually got the impression that there seems to be an intention of taking this down to grade level, and that should not be in the kindergarten, through 6th grade. So my recommendation is to table this, maybe look at it next year, but potentially bring somebody else in besides ADL. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's all our cards. We lost a few people along the way. Do we have any other comments, or would someone like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion.
Good, because I can't find it.
Yeah, I don't have it directly in front of me.
It's 18.
Okay, it's
18A.
approve the agreement with the Anti-Defamation League for professional development for secondary schools.
Yes, I would like to make that motion.
And I'll second.
Carol would like to second.
Oh, Carol may second it.
Okay.
I have
little
one
late on
little
reading
piece
that.
of discussion, just because that's, okay, thanks. I just want to make it really clear that the student portion of this is a voluntary student portion. So any parents that would be upset about it, talk to your kids and don't let them volunteer. And the kids that volunteer are the ones that will be getting this training. So
And it's not during instructional time.
it's not, it will not take them away from their instructional day. We too agree that every minute is precious, especially this year.
Thank you. So I have a motion made by Trustee Anderson, seconded by Trustee Crane, and it's a roll call vote.
Trustee Yelsey?
Yes.
Trustee Barto?
Yes.
Trustee Metoyer?
Yes.
Trustee Weigand?
Yes.
Trustee Anderson?
Yes.
Trustee Crane?
She said yes.
Yes.
She's
Thumbs-
aye in the chat.
They can thumb
Trustee
up.
Ersoylu?
Yes.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want us to find some
Thank
other
you very
trustees?
much.
Yeah.
And thank you. Okay, I'm moving back and forth on this now. Consent calendar.
Move approval of this consent calendar.
A second.
Who was the second?
Bartow.
Moved by trustee Metoyer, seconded by trustee Bartow. I do have a comment that I need to read. Please note consent calendar item 16E1 and 16E2 under superintendent pertain to amending Dr. Sir and Dr. Baumeister's respective employment agreements, including change in salary placement effective August 1st, 2022. So we moved and seconded, roll call vote.
Trustee Yelsey,
Yes.
Trustee Bartow,
Yes.
Trustee Metoyer,
Yes.
Trustee Weigand,
Yes.
Trustee Anderson,
No.
Trustee Crane.
Yes.
Yes.
She said a yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, motion's carried 6-1. Next, we have public hearing.
I wanted to make a comment.
I have,
Oh.
are you?
I moved
Oh,
spots.
you're moving over.
So
Okay,
I wasn't-
sorry, I thought it was.
Yeah, well, and then my button was hidden under the battery pack.
Trustee Anderson.
Thank you. I just wanted to articulate why I voted no on this. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, over 7 items in the facilities portion of the budget that I believe I'm not comfortable voting on. I think we have a new superintendent coming in. We are doing interviews tomorrow to approve multi-year facilities agreements with for consulting. To me, is not a prudent use of taxpayer money. I have asked a few questions of them, but I have gotten not a lot of answers. I was told I would get some answers here today. I don't want to continue spending more money redesigning the Ensign right away. We already know that there were problems initially. I don't want to keep using the same firms. I would like to wait until we have a new superintendent for huge decisions like restructuring ed services. I am not in favor of changing the employment agreements for Dr. Sir or for Dr. Baumeister. So I've actually never had a consent calendar item where there are so many items that I don't agree with. So that I emphatically wanted to say no. Thanks.
Thank you for the clarification. Okay, we will move on to public hearings and the action calendar. 17A is a public hearing disclosing the provisions of the 2021-2022 tentative collective bargaining agreement with the Newport-Mesa Federation of Teachers. Mr. Trader. Oh,
Good evening. So, yes, on June 29th, the district NMFT reached a tentative agreement. That agreement calls for a 3.6% on-schedule increase and a stipend and a benefit unit cap increase. The total cost of the agreement is expected to be $8,762,972, and that includes all benefits and step and column costs, and a certification that the district can afford that.
Thank you. I am going to open the public hearing. And we have a speaker tonight, speaking at the public hearing, Sarah M. Water. I'm sorry to sound so excited, but we never have.
I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't worry about
I really do it that way.
it. She'll be fine.
I love it. I even went to a labor law conference this summer, voluntarily, you know. So I just want to speak in favor of the ratification of the TA. And I want to thank my team, Nicholas Dix, he's our lead negotiator, Huang Nguyen, Rhonda Reed, Jamie Ropp, and also our JBT team members, because that really goes into it. Tamara Fairbanks, Jamie Ropp, Kathy Adamak, and Nicholas Dix. And it's just really rewarding to get together with all the different people on both teams and have an experience where you're working together peacefully and with such respect on both sides, even when you disagree vehemently about certain things. And especially in this, climate that we're in, I mean, the whole room at times, it just felt so good, even if we didn't agree, just because of the amount of respect that we have for one another, in particular, the leadership of Leona Olson and I know her name, Leona Olson, and Nicholas Dix. By the way, the reason some people don't come up here and say all the titles is because they'll flub it horribly, and that's why I just say good evening. It's really for you, not for me, that I do that. But their leadership in this process was just refreshing, in particular because of just, what's going on around us, and we all appreciate that. And so I just want to speak in favor of that, and knowing that we have confidence no matter what comes up down the pike, we can work together. Okay.
Thank you so much. Are there any other comments for public hearing? If not, I will close the hearing. 17B, approved tentative agreement and MOUs between the Newport-Mesa Unified School District and the Newport-Mesa Federation of Teachers 2021-2022.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Sarah, did you want to comment again because you had 17A and B? Okay.
President Yelsey, I'd like to share a few comments, if that's okay. As you know, Leona Olson is dealing with some things and can't be here this evening. So I said I would step in and share her comments and echo many of the things that Sarah Awater, shared with all of you. Leona wanted me to make sure that you all know how proud she is of both teams and the work that they did together really to reach this agreement. It reflects hours and hours of discussions, as you know, and conversations resulting in, really mutual interests of both, groups, and ultimately supporting the environment, for our students is really what it came down to for this group. Some of the highlights of the agreement are evaluation tools for our counselors, librarians, nurses, psychologists, speech language pathologists, and social workers, all critical components of the education we provide kids, but not classroom teachers. So they'll all have their own evaluation specific to their jobs. Adjustments to the role and recompense, they'll be effective next year, 22-23. Health and welfare benefits, the district will make an increase to to district costs and no increase to employee contribution. A 3.6 salary increase, and acknowledging the difficulty of this last year, a $1,000 stipend for full-time teachers and a $500 stipend for part-time or less than 50% teachers. And that for those who worked this past year. And as Sarah said, it was an extremely collaborative process, and Leona wants to make sure that she highlights the team members and the work that they've done throughout the negotiations to bring this agreement before you this evening. So we want to say a big thank you to the NMFT team, Sarah Awater, Jamie Ropp, Kimberly Clater, Rhonda Reed, Quinn Nguyen, and Nicholas Dix. And then also to our Newport-Mesa team, Newport-Mesa Unified School District team, Dr. Kurt Sir, Dr. Kirk Bauermeister, Dr. Mike Shaka, Amanda Estrada, Dr. Megan Brown, Spencer Covert, and of course our lead negotiator, Leona Olson. And one last comment that's not on script, but I would 100% concur with Sarah in relation to the mutual respect that Leona and Nicholas have created in that room together, and that they have for each other to really, move this forward. I think for the first time in a long time before summer even approached. So I urge you, as Sarah did, to approve this agreement and congratulate both sides for coming together.
Thank you, and you represented Ms. Olson very well in your comments. And I also was going to mention that, having been here for a while now, this is the first time I can remember where we have an agreement before school starts. And I think that's a testament
Yes, it is.
to the two groups working well together. And so I think we're all pleased with this.
Can I take you up on that offer to say one more thing?
Sure. We're going to see a lot of you.
I did not mean to omit the wonderful, lovely Kimberly Clater.
Oh,
I'm going on, that was because of nerves, and I was jotting notes down, so I forgot to say her name, and she was there, and I'm sorry. I love you, Kimberly.
the text should not come now.
Did she just text you? No, I understand. Thank you for coming back up. So we have a motion by trustee
And we have lights.
and we have,
Yeah, I was first.
Go ahead.
Is it trustee, did you light for trustee Grant? Look
Yes.
at that cooperation.
Okay.
And that's what my comment was about. It warms my heart to see the cooperation and collaboration between our two teams this year. It just shows that even though there are individual points that are disagreed with, that working together can get stuff done in a timely manner. And I'm just so proud. I have not been in this seat, but I have been out in your seat. And it's nice to be able to start the school year knowing what's happening as a teacher. So I really appreciate the work that you did. Thank you.
Trustee Crane.
Yes, thank you. I think after a grueling year, it's so refreshing to have a good start when it comes to a contract signed before first day of school. The collaboration was wonderful. We got reports, consistent reports from Ms. Olson. I do want to just compliment the team who put together the evaluation sheets that were for the non-teaching certificated staff and personnel, like the school counselors and the therapists, librarians, et cetera. Because before it was one evaluation form for all certificated staff. And we know that they're not all the same. And I just love the fact that the language was changed and forms were created for the specific job responsibilities. Because if you are someone who's being evaluated, you want specifics and you want something that is custom made to you and your job description. And so excellent job. I went through every single one of those PDFs and I want to compliment you on that. Great job, everybody. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Metoyer, seconded by trustee Barto. Roll call vote.
Trustee Yelsey?
Yes.
Trustee Barto?
Yes.
Trustee Metoyer?
Yes.
Trustee Wigand?
Yes.
Trustee Anderson?
Yes.
Trustee Crane?
Yes.
Trustee Ursulou?
Yes.
Yay. Okay, item 18B, approve management, confidential, and supervisor compensation and benefits for 2021-2022. Mr. Drake, is that you again?
Real quickly, yes. Yes, real quickly. So last month, Leona Olson, our Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, did meet with management, confidential, and supervisor employees, employee groups, and regarding the 21-22 compensation, we're pleased to bring forward tonight for your consideration compensation for those groups equitable to the compensation approved for Newport-Mesa Federation of Teachers.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Who was it?
Second.
Crane, okay. Second? Anderson? Sometimes I can't read lips with masks on. I have a motion by trustee Crane, seconded by trustee Anderson. Roll call vote.
Trustee Yelsey?
Yes.
Trustee Barto?
Yes.
Trustee Metoyer?
Yes.
Trustee Wigand?
Yes.
Trustee Anderson?
Yes.
Trustee Crane?
Yes.
Trustee Ursulou?
Yes.
Okay, next item is 18C, which is approve the executive staff compensation and benefits for 2021-2022. And Dr. Bankser, could you please provide a summary of this for our minutes?
Sure. Actually, before I do, and I promise this will be quick, I want to second a number of the comments that have been made thus far about how wonderful it is to enter a school year with agreements. Now, I recognize that the CSEA is yet to be fully formed as an agreement, but it was great to see the cooperation just in my first week here in that domain. And I congratulate Leona and everybody else who worked with her to bring this to bear, because it makes a huge difference in the operation of school districts. And then this gets me to 18C. The other thing that I appreciated, however you got to this point, I think it's a real testimony to the way the school board and staffs look at each other on an equitable basis, so that recommendations can come forth to the school board where every single employee is treated the same way, percentage-wise, in terms of recognizing the stipend for this past year, in terms of benefit increases, costs to the district not borne by the staff member. It's rather extraordinary, to be honest with you. And that's a very strong statement, I think, about how people view each other within the district. And that, I think, will pay very long-term benefits as you go forward. Now, then, to 18C, there is ample information here under the details of the financial agreement. Again, 3.6%, all the things that Jeff talked about before, and a very specific cost for salary and benefits of $104,138 that accrues to that group, as you see on the page, a group of 10, and I strongly recommend approval.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve 18C executive compensation and benefits for 21-22.
Second.
Moved by trustee Barto, seconded by trustee Metoyer. Roll call vote?
Trustee Yelsey?
Yes.
Trustee Barto?
Yes.
Trustee Metoyer?
Yes.
Trustee Weigand?
Yes.
Trustee Anderson?
Yes.
Trustee Crane?
Yes.
Yes.
We'll move on to resolution consent calendar. 19A, adopt resolution 010821 to establish temporary interfund transfer of special or restricted fund monies. Mr. Trader.
So as you're aware, the district has a cash dry period of July to December. And in order to keep the general fund solvent, we borrow from the district's other funds. This is authorization to borrow from those funds with exception to the endowment fund.
And this is something that happens every year.
Correct.
And we do this so that we don't have to borrow from someplace else and pay them interest.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by trustee Metoyer, seconded by trustee Weigand. Roll call vote?
Trustee Yelsey?
Yes.
Trustee Barto?
Yes.
Trustee Metoyer?
Yes.
Trustee Weigand?
Yes.
Trustee Anderson?
Yes.
Trustee Crane?
Yes.
Trustee Ursulou?
Yes.
Okay, 19B, adopt resolution 20821, authorizing approval of signatures on electronically printed checks produced by the Orange County Superintendent of Schools.
So moved?
Second.
Mr. Trader, would you like to say anything?
We want those checks
Fine with
signed.
that. This is simply to add Dr. Bangser to the signature authority.
Great. Moved by trustee Crane, seconded by trustee Metoyer. Roll call vote?
Trustee Yelsey?
Yes.
Trustee Barto?
Yes.
Trustee Metoyer?
Yes.
Trustee Weigand?
Yes.
Trustee Anderson?
Yes.
Trustee Crane?
Yes.
Trustee Ursulou?
Yes.
That was fun.
Yes.
Thank you. We'll go on to informal reports. Superintendent's report, Dr. Bangser.
Well, so here you go. This will be a little bit of a different superintendent report. I want to start out by talking about tonight a little bit, and I'll get to maybe a couple of other things before I finish. A lot of work went into tonight's meeting, and I want to commend particularly Kirk Baumeister for managing, what was clearly I would say, wonderfully challenging environment, right? And he was the captain of the team of 11 adults out there who work both in the district and near the district, 6 principals and some security people, and Eduardo, great job. We also had wonderful cooperation from the Costa Mesa Police Department. Good that they didn't have to really do anything except be here. So Kirk, thank you, Kirk. Thank you. Then I want to talk a little bit about this. I mean, this is really, really getting in the nerdy area. I want to talk about 2 things. One, I have probably walked into, as a superintendent and search consultant and sort of mentor to people, probably 25 school districts where I've seen the construction of board meeting agendas. And I will tell you, this is the best one that I've seen. It's really, really well done, albeit, you know, we had to sort of work hard to get it out on time, and we're going to think about getting a little bit different calendar for September. But the substance of it is just first rate. So if you take a look at what I call the white pages, right? You don't have to, I know, Carol, you really got into the weeds on some of the buff pages of the support. But if you take a look at the white pages, if you're a community member, you can learn a lot about what this board is doing on many, many issues, like 100, right? If you go through the consent calendar, there are about 100 items there, and I sat in on the agenda prep, and I couldn't believe that we processed that quickly. So congratulations to the assistant superintendents and the board, and Rosie, great job. You had to put up with me for about a week and a half. That wasn't easy, but I really appreciate it. And just a word about Jeff, talking about my getting nerdy. You know, I love school finance. And coming from Ojai, where I was superintendent, that's just a typical LCFF thing. You know, you get money from the state and all that. When I heard that this was a community-based funding district, it took me back to 23 years in New York and Illinois, where everything, the whole state, is community-based, essentially. So you keep your property taxes, and then you have to work on it. So Jeff, we had a good time, didn't we? Yeah, we had a good time. And I probably pushed a little bit on some line items, but I learned a lot. So thank you. That was really good. Last thing I'm going to say as a segue to the assistant superintendents, I already talked about Jeff. We have spent a lot of time together in the last 2 weeks. And before I ever sat down with them as a group, I wanted to meet them individually, learn about who they are as people, learn about their families as much as they want to tell me. And I shared a lot about my own. Did the same thing with board members. And that's just how I always enter a new school district. You know, there are always issues to resolve. Okay, but if you don't meet the people, and Sarah, you and I had a similar conversation. I'm looking forward to our conversation now that you're back. There you go. So that's the way to do it. And I just have tremendous respect for the people who are in leadership positions in this district. They care deeply about their work. They have been responsive to questions that I have, which I warned them up front. I was going to ask a lot of questions because that's just how I learn. And, you know, I want to do the best I can for them and for the board, obviously, and the community in the however many weeks I'm here until the new superintendent comes. So that's really what I want to talk about tonight are the people I've met, the construction of the agenda, and I think the high quality of analysis that I've seen in the couple of weeks I've been here. So that's what I wanted to say. We'll get to issues. I really want to see the schools open. Hopefully we'll do a great job. By mid-September, I'll have more comments to make about things like education. But right now, I really want to talk about people and the hard work that I've seen to help tonight be tonight. So with that, do you call me assistant superintendent? Is that what you do? I think what you do. Okay, good.
Okay, good evening. Yeah, so wonderful. This is my first report. And I just wanted to share out that today was basically our teacher PD day. You know, we had our teacher first day back yesterday. I had a chance to go and visit some campuses and just see people engaged in learning. And it was just really exciting to see our staff back in action. So that was a really dynamic environment as I bounced around town today. I also just want to thank Mike Shaka, our secondary director of teaching and learning, who helped coordinate that effort today alongside the MTSS team to present to our teachers in secondary. So very grateful and proud of the work that they did today. So thank you. And then we're welcoming Dr. Raquel Stevens, who's our new cloud campus principal. And I'm just excited to see that campus really come together again. And so we started that school last year, which has been was a tremendous asset to the district. And we're currently at 338 students and growing every day. And so I'm just excited to see what that program is going to become and continue to become as the year goes on.
And I would say, as you were giving your report, Mr. Shaka in the back was probably as excited as you were about the cloud campus.
Yes.
So,
I think he's more excited. When he heard new principal, Dr. Stevens, I think he was sending flowers and champagne over there. But yes, he did a wonderful job of creating it, and so he's handed it off nicely, and it's wonderful. So,
Mr. Drake.
Yes, thank you, President Yelsey. And to kind of build off of what Carrie Torres was just talking about, and today being our district-wide staff development day. I want to let you know that I own completely the design of our day. And the design was around building the capacity of both our principals and our teachers around their math standards, which will be our focus this year. The other thing that I own in that are some decisions that were made in that. One of, as you've heard me talk over the years, one of the things that we consistently want to do is build on students' assets, identify what they do know. And with a strong foundation of knowing the standards, being able to take them from what they know to meet grade level expectations. Today in 4 of our grade level trainings, not all 7 of them, but in 4 of them, I had approved an article for them to read. That was really focused on, from my perspective, in identifying and approving this article, really helping teachers strengthen their lens for finding the assets in what kids are doing mathematically. There is a portion in that article that also talks about privilege as well as power. And frankly, in approving it, somewhat overlooked that. In wanting the whole conversation to be about assets. You have been very clear in your direction as a board that we are not moving in the direction of critical race theory or incorporating that, and that was not the intent of my mistake today in putting that article in front of teachers. Our principals did a fantastic job framing the article around the focus of assets. My understanding is that the conversation was around that. Needless to say, the impression could be out there that, I am pushing, this critical race theory, and I want to make sure that it's very clear that you've been clear to me and all of us that that is not part of our curriculum, and that was not my intent with that article. Having said that, I think today was a really powerful day for our teachers and digging into standards, focusing on really understanding them at a deeper level, which was the start and the beginning of our work that will happen throughout the year. The other part that was extremely impressive is that all of our principals led the learning that happened today. That was with a lot of hard work on their parts, working through, really the day together and even learning some standards themselves. But it was just powerful to see them in that instructional leadership position, and it was appreciated by teachers. A lot was learned today. And I just wanted to make sure that you are all aware of the mistake I'm owning. While we will continue to focus on assets of our students, there are different ways for us to go about supporting our teachers to do that. And so I just wanted to make sure that I shared that with you.
Thank you, Mr. Drake. Appreciate that. Mr. Trader?
We are on the verge of closing the financial books for the 2021 year, so that means you'll get about 200 pages of pleasure reading material soon. We look forward to bringing that to you at the September meeting.
In time for Labor Day weekend?
Yes.
Yeah, in time for Labor Day weekend. Okay.
Superintendent Bangser can't wait.
Yes. And I just want to thank our warehouse group. They've been really just on top of everything, trying to get all the moves done, and there is a lot of moves that is happening this year, so thank you.
Mr. Holcomb.
Yes, our maintenance department has been very busy this summer. It's an unusual summer, of course, because of COVID and things in the supply chain, but a lot has gotten done. Let me give a quick rundown of some things. Marquees, you'll recall for the last few years, we've been putting new digital marquees at our elementary schools. Those are being completed. At this point, basically, all of them now will be done here roughly by the end of the week, with the exception of one where the delivery is still a few weeks away. But very soon, those will all be completed. Our pool at Newport Harbor, the equipment that we had scheduled for replacement is completing this week as well. So, so that will take care of that project. Roofing replacement. We have found with the roofing replacements that there's a lot more rotted wood than, and it's underneath things. So it's good. We're glad we're after it. It's going to be great. It's going to take us a little bit longer than what we had originally scheduled, but glad to be getting after roofing replacements at this point. Anderson, the siding that's original to the school is being replaced as we speak. So that's going on. Exterior painting, Ray is complete. Newport L is complete. Sonora will be finishing this week. Davis will be beginning this week and hope to complete pretty much by the end of the month. Flooring is complete at Mariners, Newport Coast, Newport Heights, Costa Mesa High School, some at Davis, Tewinkle, Corona Del Mar Middle and High School, and at the Transportation Department. There have been field renovations at Back Bay, Monte Vista, Harper, and Kaiser. And we've got to keep after our termites. So we've had to fumigate campuses, as you know. That's a big deal, a lot of work. And we've fumigated 5 different schools, and then refinished the terrazzo in the restrooms at Victoria recently. So many things going on. Many thanks to Mr. Bidnick. Ada Zaresny has also been, and she and her team have been assisting him. Our purchasing department. It's been a lot of work from a lot of departments to get that much work going and done this summer. So we're very pleased with that.
Thank you. Trustee Wiegand, did you have a question?
Yeah, I have just a couple questions on some of the facilities projects and their completion dates. One is the roofing, primarily at Mariners. There's a lot of material on the blacktop, and I've had a lot of questions from the community about if that's going to be moved by the time that school does start, and then when will that, and then, sorry, another question, when will that be complete? Because I know you can't do roofing while children are in classrooms, so, and then I'll have another question.
Yes, and as I mentioned, we have found that site is much more complicated than what we had originally anticipated working through it. So as I've talked with Mr. Bidnick a little bit about it, he has the best update on figuring out from a day-to-day. So Mr. Bidnick, would you mind coming up and answering Trustee Wygand's question, please?
All right, good evening, Board of Trustees and Interim Superintendent Bengzer. Great question. We actually, it's not just the issue of the extent of the extra unforeseen repairs of the rotten wood at the school site. It's also the material availability. We had bid open in May, I think May 21st. It was brought to the board for approval June 17th, and we ordered material right away. It just arrived. The last pieces arrived, I think, this morning or late yesterday. So material availability also delayed that project pretty significantly.
Yeah, I figured.
We did meet with the contractor today. There's different types of roof sections that are being done. The 3 buildings, the office building, the multipurpose room, and the kindergarten will be done probably by Saturday. End of day is what we're looking at. The material on the blacktop has already been moved and relocated out by the portables, and the contractor is going to erect a temporary fence. We are meeting out there with the contractor and the principal tomorrow to go over the remaining schedule and look at the impact of the roofing project on the school site I'll have more of an update tomorrow after we meet as far as what the plan is moving forward. The disruption of class and safety of the students are obviously the biggest concerns. Making sure that nothing's going to jeopardize either one of those. But we do have a tremendous amount of work still to do on that one. It's going to be difficult, require close coordination with the school site and the principal.
So are you looking at 3 more months, or what do you think the timeline would be?
We'll know more tomorrow.
Okay.
So we do have a couple of options moving forward involving different types of schedules for the contractor. It's really going to see what the school site is capable of accommodating. If we need to bring in crews for after hours and weekend work, and really how long that schedule is going to take us out to. So it's going to be, we'll know more tomorrow on the schedule. And as the project progresses, we can also start moving material off of the ground and onto the roof. So
Okay.
that'll be another benefit there.
Great, and I just, keep Mr. B in communication so that he can communicate out to the school site. So thank you. And then I have a question about the Newport Harbor Pool and that plan. And when all I think we probably 2 meetings ago approved updates to that. So when are we going to have not only just the filter being replaced, but some of the other enhancements to the school?
I can speak to the pool filter replacement. They were filling the last 2 filters on Monday, and water was supposed to be restored this morning. I haven't been to the school site to verify that happened. We are planning on a complete turnover back to the school site by the end of this week, having kids back in the pool by Monday, on schedule.
And the question, I think Krista and I have the same set of questions from the same members of the community. But one big question that we had was the bathrooms in the pool area. They need a bit of love, like not a huge overhaul, but they have some maintenance issues, especially the girls' bathroom. And so they were wondering if that was any improvements were scheduled to be done in the near future. And the reason they ask is their aquatics boosters are ready to jump in and do it. So I said, well, let's talk to our people first and see what we can do. So I can send you they gave me like a bunch of line items and some photos if that's helpful. It doesn't seem like the kind of thing that would be cost prohibitive or time consuming, and maybe it's already planned, but that you can just get back to me on what, yeah.
That would be great if you
Yeah,
would
and
send
we
that.
got it, just we're not trying to blindside you. We got this list this morning, so.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Jacqueline.
Thank you. So before we scheduled and had our teachers back and welcomed a lot of our certificated staff back to start the school year, we welcomed our leadership staff back, and both our classified and our certificated leadership. We every year do a leadership advance, and we switched it up a little bit this year in order to reduce the number of folks we had in the room. We cut down 2 days of training into 1 and spread folks out over 3 days. And so I thank my colleagues in the Ed Services Division, because a lot of their content was what was taken out, and they were gracious to do that and to be able to provide that to principals and certificated staff in another arena. So I got my way and had we did a lot on MTSS and as a priority for the board and the district, and appreciate that some of the board members were actually able to come and be a part of some of the training and some of those days. And I won't go into detail about all of the wonderful SEL content and MTSS content we went over. We're looking forward to doing a board presentation now that we have all of this new staff in place and kind of some of those plans in the future. But what I will share is one of the really nice moments of that day was a donation that was made to the district on behalf of Patrick's Purpose. So Patrick is a student, former student who took his own life, and his parents set up a foundation called Patrick's Purpose. And Kim, the mom, has reached out and worked closely with Kristen Henry of what they could do to support social emotional learning for our elementary school kids. And so they came up with a whole list of books for libraries at every one of our elementary schools, English, and then also books in Spanish, which was really thoughtful and critical for many of our students, and we were able to give those all out at the leadership advance, and the principals, you would have thought it was Christmas. They were so happy to get all of that stuff. And I think one of the other the testaments to kind of the work that Patrick's Purpose is doing is that they thought it was really important to support a small local bookstores in purchasing these who have struggled during COVID versus a big box realtor for this. So that's a retailer for this. So that's that was just a really nice kind of little added bonus of all of this. But it was really heartfelt and appreciated. The other real focus of the leadership advance has been our COVID-19 response and how we plan to start this school year. And I'd like to call up Jonathan Wilby, who is our risk manager, and share just a couple things from that day with us. And in a perfect world, Jonathan and I wouldn't probably intersect much. Our jobs are pretty different, but we are COVID buddies, and we spend a lot of time together because he does a lot of the stuff for staff, working closely with HR, and then I focus more on the student aspect of COVID. So I'm going to share with you a couple of the things that we're looking at for students, and then Jonathan's going to just share a couple of other insights kind of to what we're doing. So one of the things that it's important to remember as we're looking at starting this school year is this concept called layered mitigation strategies. And we did that last year as well, right? We had the social distancing, we had plexiglass, we had masks, we have the filters. And this year, with the focus on keeping students in school, the state realized they were not be able to support the social distancing or physical distancing that they had put in place. And in order to mitigate that, that's the requirement that all students and staff wear masks indoors. So that is one of the mitigation strategies that the state is putting out, and the CDPH that we're following. But that's not the only thing. And so we're doing that, but masks are not required for students when they're outdoors, when they're eating lunch, those kind of times. However, we still want students to follow a lot of our other safety protocols that we put in place. We're asking parents to do passive screenings if kids are sick, have symptoms, to stay home from school. And that's really hard after kids have been home so long that, and now over the summer, everybody's ready to send their kids back to school. But if students are sick, we ask that they stay home. We're going to continue with the kind of the ventilation systems that we've put in place, hand washing, and then we're going to continue with cleaning and all those pieces that we put in place. And then Jonathan, if you'll share a little bit more about some of those things, that would be great.
Yeah, I think you and I you pretty much don't need me at this point. You seem to have it all down. During Leadership Advance, I think one of the things we also did was we all acknowledged that we didn't want to be here talking about COVID at this time last year. We all hoped that at the start of this year it would be behind us and we'd be moving on, and it would just be a thing of the past. And we're all tired of it. I mean, my job has been COVID for the last 12 months, and I'm as tired of it as anyone. But I think what's important is we also reflect on how far we've come. Last year at this time, we weren't talking about reopening schools. We were starting out in distance learning a year ago, and it was almost 2 months down the road that we even talked about going to level 2 hybrid. And it was most of the year before we actually got to full-time in-person classes. So we've come so far in the last year, and really the requirements of CDPH, the requirements of Cal OSHA are really minimal compared to what it looked like as far as doing in-person education a year ago. What it is, like Dr. Jocham said, face coverings indoors, not face coverings outdoors. So we are going to get a break from wearing face coverings, which all of us need, especially students. Cleaning. Going to be cleaning the classrooms, continue to clean those high touch points. Hand hygiene, really reinforcing hand hygiene. Signage to reinforce all those different aspects. But what it's not plexiglass. It's not social distancing where we have to go to cohorts and we can't have full-time education. It's not all the spacing in classrooms. It really is minimal at this point, and it's all focused on keeping schools open, keeping kids in classroom full-time so we don't have split classes, and really protecting that because that's so important to education and students. So that's where we're at. What we'll continue to do is monitor case rates, continue to monitor the CDPH guidelines, the Cal OSHA guidelines, and all those changes because they do change a lot. Whether it's, hopefully it's changing in the right direction. The cases are getting less and they become less and less restrictive. And we'll monitor and implement those changes as we can. And hopefully all that leads to a safe and successful in-person school year. Any questions?
Thank you. I just wanted to make a comment. I mean, you're a perfect tag team. You may not have the same areas normally, but I think it's worked really well. And having been in a meeting where Jonathan was talking earlier this week, I couldn't agree more with something he said. And this is something I feel that the entire board, this is how we look at it. Our goal this year is to keep our schools open all day, every day. If we can do that, I think it's a win for us.
In person.
And to do that, we, as a group, will follow the guidelines to make sure that happens. And I know some people don't agree with certain things. Nobody agrees with anything. I mean, there's people who don't agree with anything you're doing, but we all know that. And I think we have to keep our eyes focused on what we want, and that's to have our schools open. And that's the most important part of this year. So we all appreciate everything you're doing to make that happen.
Yes.
So thank you.
There's more questions, Jonathan.
Trustee Weigand.
Thanks for that thorough description of what we're doing. And as I probably echo what you just said, that hopefully the guidelines get less restrictive and, next year at this time or maybe Christmas time, this is all over.
November 1st.
Yeah, or November 1st.
There you go.
I just wanted to say, I think as a board, a lot of my community members, they are, don't want masks. And I have to say, obviously, no one wants to mask their child up. But my biggest concern and my biggest thought is let's keep our schools open because having to be online was horrible last year. And I know from firsthand with my children, it was bad. And I would like to keep them in person as much as possible. And so I appreciate that. And I am aware of, all of the issues. I've seen kids cry and having to wear masks and go into school, and it is heartbreaking. So, while we got to follow the guidelines, I just wanted to echo, thank you for keeping our schools open. I do have one question because a lot of my community members are saying, well, are there different rules for public or private schools? And I just wanted to clarify that for people out there, and if you can elaborate on that.
Yeah, I can elaborate. It's the same rules for public and private schools. And CDPH has recognized that there were some schools that weren't completely following the rules, and they plan on enforcing them much more strictly than they have in the past. But it's the same rules for public and private.
Okay, great. So we are all adhering to the same rules under the CDPH guidelines, and the authorities, I guess, in Orange County are aware of that as well.
Correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Is that it? Okay. Next, we have our board member reports. And before we just start that, I just wanted to give an update on our superintendent search for people, for the public. And it is on our website, so you can look to see our timeline and what we're looking at. I have to say, I'm really pleased. So far, we have followed our timeline to a T. We actually had a meeting with Leadership Associates, who is doing our search, last week, and went through every application. And I have to say, we received some very interesting, experienced, high-quality candidates on paper. And I say on paper because that's all we've seen so far, is the candidates on paper. We had to narrow it down, and it was a tough decision because we had so many good candidates. And we looked at, Newport-Mesa is a very unique district, and we feel it's important to have someone very experienced who has been involved at a high level in a district before. So we have identified 6 candidates that we are interviewing, starting at 7:15 tomorrow morning. Ladies. And we will be there until probably at least 7:15 at night.
Tomorrow night,
And if we have to, we'll take it over the next day. But we are hoping to identify one. You know, you never know until you meet people in person to really sit down and question and talk with them. But we are hoping that someone rises to the top, and it'll be a real easy choice. May or may not be. We don't know. So we all are looking forward to spending the day tomorrow interviewing candidates. And if all goes well and we can identify someone and get all the details worked out, that we could announce it for approval in our September meeting. So we're not just going to keep on the schedule for the sake of keeping on the schedule. We want to find the absolute best candidate. And so that's what we're taking time to do. But we feel we owe it to our public, we owe it to our staff, who I know is anxiously awaiting. I know Dr. Bankser, who has been wonderful so far, has plans to move on to the rest of his life.
Retiring again. Retiring yet again.
For the 4th time.
For the fourth time. But we do appreciate everything he's doing in the interim. So that's kind of the schedule of where we are.
And the September 14th may not be an actual start date, because
No,
whoever this
just
person is,
approval. No,
right.
It would not be.
But that's an explanation. A lot of people think, okay, you start tomorrow, right? And wherever they are, they need to.
Will be here at our September.
Yeah, you would absolutely not want someone who could start on September 15th.
Right.
That's not the kind of allegiance that you would expect from the district from which she or he is coming.
Yes.
So anyway, that's the update, and we will continue to keep the community updated on our website. I know Annette Franco, our PIO, is on top of this, and and is in communication with our Leadership Associates team as well. So that's it. Board member reports. Does anybody else have anything to report?
Oh, I just attended the leadership advance, and I was really impressed by 2 things. One of the sessions was a big yellow Post-it that said COVID parking lot, and I appreciated that because the conversation was about students and achievement and going forward and next year. And the other thing I was really impressed by was just the excitement in the room with staff. Both sessions that I attended, everyone is really excited to get back to why we are here, educating kids and taking care of kids and making these schools safe and wonderful learning environments for our students. So that was really exciting to see, because I think we go into this year, it's the big unknown, and we're a little leery from what last year was. So it's great to see everyone just so excited to be back and to be teaching and to watch our students grow and support our students and wave hi to them on the school bus. I think I'm really excited for this school year.
And adding on to that, it was also exciting to see our new staff working so well already with our experienced staff, our veteran staff, and the teams were already forming. It felt seamless. Being in those chairs, I know it's not, but it felt seamless to us that the new people were happy for their new positions, and the veteran people were happy to welcome them into their new fold with their new mascot and their new colors, and it was a very comforting feeling. And I also attended the classified day also, so it was the same. It was the same with classified as it was, because all the adults that work together have to do that in order to make our schools open and our kids learn. So it was a wonderful feeling. I'm excited for next week and grateful, by the way, to M&O and the previous boards, because it was really nice on those really, really hot days knowing every single school has air conditioning.
Yes.
And that was a hard thing we did.
Trustee Anderson, did you have a comment?
Oh, thank you. Yes, I just wanted to comment on some of the items that the parents that were speaking about Whittier. I feel like this is far away and I'm like wearing my mask and I can't hear. Sorry. I have actually been able to be a part of several groups doing work in the city of Costa Mesa around pedestrian and bike safety. First, I was in the Orange County OCTA's Safe Routes to School Working Group for over a year, and they go through all of the schools in the county and talk about which areas and neighborhoods are highly sensitive streets and intersections and are possibly dangerous for pedestrians. Their map and the report show that most of Westside Costa Mesa schools are in those zones that are industrial business zones and are deemed unsafe, which is why we have had until recently busing for several schools that appear to be people live close to them. Ray Elementary is actually one of the most dangerous pedestrian and bike zones in the entire county. The nearby intersection of West 19th Street and Newport Boulevard is one of the top 3 in the entire state of California. I have requested that we do the Safe Routes to School program multiple times over the past 2 years, and that program that has not taken off. It is a free program. We can have it at any of our schools. So I would like to see that happen before bus routes are eliminated.
Who sponsors that program?
OCTA, the county pays
Okay.
for it.
Who does? OCTA?
OCTA, yes, it's funded by the county. They have been trying to connect with us. They've been going to principals, not to the district, and so they have had a difficult time, and I told them that was not the best technique. But I brought it up in several board meetings. And I'm just concerned that we are eliminating bus routes at Ray and at Whittier. I have lots of parents from both of those schools calling me, texting me, very, very, very concerned. Additionally, I've been part of Cal Walks, which is through Berkeley. It is a state initiative to make sure that neighborhoods are safe. They have given us very comprehensive recommendations, including things like adding 19th Street. We need to have a bike lane for all of 19th Street. Placentia is very unsafe for lots of our students. They have a very comprehensive report. They have sent it to our district office. One of the other things that we have talked about is adding paying for crossing guards. The city is currently taking all of the costs for our crossing guards for our students. So that is something that I think could be addressed and discussed. Some of the Cal Walks report does pedestrian and bike and skateboarding accidents, and we have had several on West 19th. We have had several on 19th Street. We've had several on Monrovia. A lot of the zones are not, the area is not safe for students to be walking without doing some of these programs first. If we do Safe Routes to School and we have parents leading the effort and walking with 10 or 20 kids, and everyone is trained, then we can have conversations about eliminating busing. It does not make sense to do it first. I continue to bring this up because we just got an email that was sent to our parents 2 weeks ago that said that busing is eliminated for Ray and for Whittier for the start of the school year. So the students haven't been trained. Some of them, the children will not know how to walk and operate that safely. I've continued to take pictures all along 18th Street where there are semi-trucks that are blocking. There's often not sidewalks. There are a lot of areas that are unsafe for our students. I do not want something tragic to happen. It is a really great concern that I have. One of the other areas that's very unsafe is Sonora Elementary. And I think there's just a lot that we can do as a district to protect our students better.
Trustee Anderson, I will ask Dr. Bankser to meet with Tim and Shelley and review these issues and get back to you and us.
And if you
Okay.
if you have it all written down there, look like you were reading. Were you reading something? You had notes.
Yeah, I mean, I have multiple reports. It's been a frustrating process.
I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him. This is my first shot at it. Okay, so I'd like to see him.
That would be great.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think immediately, we need to be working with the city. We need to have our transportation department working directly with the city and talking about streets and deciding, we need to be putting in sidewalks and crosswalks. 18th and Pomona is where a ton of students from both Ray and Whittier converge. There is no crosswalk. Every single day, it is very difficult to drive at that intersection. So thank you for reading that and acknowledging that. We have a lot of ways to go. And our board policy states that safety is the utmost concern, not distance. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Crane?
Yeah, I'll piggyback on the safety topic. I do know that we as a board and community have discussed the safety regarding e-bikes and awareness. And I do know that Chief John Lewis just recently released a community awareness program, but like a flyer to inform parents, or he's got something on the.
He is going to. He shared with us what they plan on doing.
So that's good to hear.
They will have a robust program. They're working with Samantha Payne at Ensign.
Yes.
And then they're going to have community programs both in Dover Shores and in the Port Streets at night for
That's
parents
great.
to be involved. And I'm
Yeah.
sure we'll continue to do additional trainings if we would like.
And I would think that it would be nice to be proactive and like snag the city of the city of Costa Mesa, because it's just going to be a matter of time.
Oh, guess what? Hurley, the building on
I know, they're moving it to
is
Hurley,
now
yeah.
it was just purchased by the electrical bike
The
company.
e-bike company, right.
Oh, is that
Yeah,
that
I
one?
heard that, right.
Oh, yeah, we saw that
Coming
one.
over.
So that's why I said it's just a matter of time.
So yeah, if we can be ahead of that one too.
And I do thank you, because I appreciate Chief Lewis really
Yes.
getting on this. We
Mhm.
had a conversation, and he's making something happen in Newport Beach. So
Wonderful.
perhaps we should do the same thing in Costa Mesa.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, if there are no other.
There was a Costa Mesa
Costa Mesa
Youth,
United, did you?
but Mrs. Ursoilu went. I wasn't able to go that day, so I didn't know if she had a report.
Oh, yeah.
Oops.
All right. So the Costa Mesa, the youth sports, yes, I was able to attend that. And it was really great to hear of all of the, exciting work that's being done in sports. And there were some facilities type questions that a couple members had, and I passed those questions on to our facilities staff. So I'm hopeful that they will be able to address those questions. Most of them were around baseball fields. But after that meeting, I shared those questions with our facilities folks. So hopefully they will be able to address those safety and watering questions that folks were asking at those meetings. So my other comment would be following up on Trustee Anderson and Trustee Crane, their discussion about safety. So I heard earlier, our number one priority for this year is to keep schools open full time. I would just like to add a caveat: keep schools open full time safely. So as our staff has talked about those layered mitigation strategies, it's important that we all recognize many of those layers. As our staff had noted, things like distancing and other elements have been slowly peeled away. So masks are sort of that last, and hand washing and that as well, but masks are sort of that last line of defense that our kids have when they're in those buildings. So I'm very proud that the California Department of Public Health still recommends masking. And although it may not be convenient, it's important that all of us remember that My mask isn't necessarily for me. It's my mask is to protect you, and your mask is to protect me, because so many of the kids are asymptomatic and they may not know that they are spreading COVID. So it's important that we keep these layered strategies in mind, although they might seem unideal. No one loves to wear cloth on their face. But the reality is it's still needed, as the numbers are where they are in reality. So dealing with that reality is very important. And I just wanted to add one more item following up on Mr. Drake's report about the math article that was shared. I've had the opportunity to read that article, and although I do appreciate him, giving more detail about how that came about in the trainings, I just do want to be certain that people understand that that article was one teacher's case study, and it was really a social justice asset-based lens. It was not a CRT article in any means. So that folks can, have peace of mind that there wasn't, it indeed is not CRT. It was a social justice related article that mentions the word power and privilege. So that just to clarify that for the folks at home, and to follow up that there is no CRT in the math, so that people can ease off of that perhaps false understanding. So thank you.
Thank you. And that just reminds me, one thing I will talk to Dr. Bangser about is I would like on our next agenda to talk about some facilities use policies that we have. And so policy committee, get ready, because we will be asking staff to look into these, so they'll bring them to you as well.
You bet.
Okay? If there are no other comments or questions, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time and involvement.
It's our only thing we get to have a voice vote on.
Good job.
See you all Friday.